Welcome, everyone. This is Friday Night Shitposting number 3. I hope everyone is looking forward to a long night of wrestling communist jimmies and smashing degeneracy. As always, if you wish to come on, I will put a link in the description soon enough. And yeah, as always, the stream is open to all, so anybody is welcome to come on. You don't have to be a subscriber. You don't even have to like me. Just come on in. So, as you all know, it's been a while since the last Friday Night Shitposting stream, and a lot has happened since then. So we have a lot to talk about. The stream will probably go on for a few hours. We're going to discuss politics, social issues, maybe a little bit of the migrant crisis, maybe some YouTube drama, whatever we want to talk about. Some people will be coming on very shortly. And as with the last time, the chat doesn't appear to be working. I'm not too sure what's going on with that. But if anybody can let me know how to enable the chat, then that would be greatly appreciated. So I've just invited a few people on, and we should get started very shortly.
Hello?
Hello. How's it going?
Nothing much. I am just at home. I have no idea what I'm doing, honestly.
No idea what you're doing. Well, you're on Friday Night Shitposting 3. What's on your mind?
A lot is on my mind. I'm still waiting for Shango to repost our response to the Finnish Bolshevik on Tumblr, because I made a joke about Shango loving KFC, so...
Well, I'm sure he does love KFC. Hey, Delta. There's no doubt about that. But then again, I love KFC too, so I can't really blame him.
Yeah, I really can't.
Didn't he delete his YouTube channel? I was looking for him recently. I couldn't find his channel.
No, he didn't.
No?
Testing. Okay.
Well, he doesn't make many of the videos, does he?
Yeah. Oh, I found it. He's right here.
What's up, Tom?
Don't give a shit about Marco Rubio.
Hey, Ethan.
Late. I was here before you.
Yeah, good to have everybody on.
I received a challenge, but I can't name it.
Let me bring Soldier.
You have a guy with a hockey mask. You have a guy with a fascist American profile picture. You have a guy with a degenerate profile picture, and you have a guy with Justice as a profile picture.
Delta, I have to say, I really enjoy your avatar.
Mine?
Did you draw that yourself, or?
I took some elements online and just made it. I had to take some from a couple of. I have a few photos I have to take it from.
Yeah, the fast goose is a nice touch.
The fastest. The eagles from the coat of arms of the American Philippines, because we had it on there.
The faces.
Fastest. Get it correct.
So I think I watched the stream recently where you describe yourself as a fascist.
Fascist, a nationalist, yes. That was like a while ago. I'd say that now.
What's it?
I'm here.
Welcome to Friday Night.
God, no.
Oh God, fucking Louise, get the fuck out.
Oh,
Okay,
let's talk about the Finnish Bolshevik.
Hold on, Lewis, shut the fuck up
Come
for
on,
a second.
we have a lot of time. We have the whole night to talk about random shit.
Yeah, true. I do one.
I just watched that stream you guys did responding to the Finnish Bolshevik. That was pretty good. That guy deserved a smackdown.
Yeah. I was trying to be nice, but the thing is, he kept saying stupid stuff that made it impossible for me not to curse him out.
Those evil
to be fair, I've never heard him say anything that wasn't stupid.
Evil whitey nigga, shit.
Yeah, it's pretty much just like the double standard, white guilt, pro-communist narrative that we.
Yeah, I mean,
before.
like, He says that because white people have colonized what we know today as Zimbabwe, hundreds of years, wasn't it 150? Yeah, 150 years ago. That means black people in Zimbabwe have the right to deport all white people, but yet countries that are in the West that are clearly non-imperialist, as soon as they want to deport all black people, that is racist too.
Well, yeah, this guy has such an obvious double standard because he talks about self-determination for blacks in Africa, which, you know, is fine with me. But then he's the same sort of person who will disparage white self-determination in Europe and in North America, which it just goes to show it's double
Or
standard.
Jewish self-determination, even.
What if I told you that there's actually a lot of
does that
Africans today, who want colonization back?
Wait,
I'm not surprised. I've seen that.
Does
Yeah,
that mean that Germany can claim all the territory in Europe from the Rhine to the Urals because the Ostrogoths controlled a good chunk of Russia in the 3rd century AD?
Yeah, and there are a ton of Germans in many places in Poland, like Danzig, that I'm sure if Germany were to invade Danzig tomorrow, the world would declare war on them. But, you know, a bunch of blacks in Africa can kill a bunch of whiteys, you know, in Zimbabwe, and nobody cares.
A bunch of dindus with RPG-7s.
She fucking evil whitey.
In fact, I just read
Yeah,
a
I mean,
news
like-
article on 8chan the other day about there were two white people in Zimbabwe, I think former settlers, farmers, who were beset upon by a bunch of dindus, and the woman had these dindus stomped on the woman's stomach. She was pregnant, by the way, with triplets, and yeah, all the triplets died because of this. It's absolutely disgusting what they're doing to white settlers in former Rhodesia right now. And the fact that people like Finnish Bolshevik will apologize for this, it's just disgraceful.
I'm sorry for being white. I'm so sorry. That's the Finnish Bolshevik, honestly.
I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same people who you know, defend the Holodomor as a you know, rightful action of land reform, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I used to reject the Holodomor, but the fact of the matter is that I wouldn't be here today if it weren't for the fact that a family of mine had to leave the Ukraine as a result of the Holodomor for me to be here. So,
Yeah, you're of Ukrainian descent, right?
my family went through.
So I'm just gonna address the elephant in the room. What the fuck is with your avatar, man? That's really degenerate.
That's degenerate.
I don't give a
That
shit.
degenerate.
It pisses people off.
Fucking
It's-
faggot.
What the fuck am I even looking at? It looks like an anthropomorphized female.
It is. It's a furry avatar. Come on, man.
Oh,
Catch-
fucking awesome.
2016, man. Anything degenerate is justified.
No, man.
Alfred, this
Not
is
here.
degenerate. Not here. Alfred's like, no. We're like, fuck
Yeah.
off.
But did you guys see John Oliver?
Generalissimo.
We are in the year
for having
1945
an
plus
avatar like that.
71. We are in the year 1945
Didn't you
plus 71.
guys?
not in the
Didn't you
year
guys see John
2016.
Oliver's recent? He was in a talk show once, and when people asked him why he supported the major refugee crisis, he said, "Well, it's because the people who are against the refugees are all racist, and it's 2015. It's time for these fascists to catch up with the times, man." Did you see that?
Yeah, I think that's where the whole like current year meme started.
Oh my god! I saw someone draw like a joke. I was like, it's 2015. People still don't agree with my bullshit. Like, what the fuck? It's like,
Yeah, well, I mean, like it's insane because you could use that argument to argue for anything. Like, you know what? It's 1099. Why not just go invade the Holy Land and kill all the Turks and Jews, right?
Hey, son of the
she,
son
fucking
of-
Crusades are bad.
the son of the dictator for life. What's your opinion on Israel?
What's my opinion on Israel? Come on, man. That's a really complex question. Essentially, my opinion on Israel is that I believe that the Jews have the right to self-determination. I believe that they have the right to their own homeland, but they don't have the right to attack the Palestinians and
Palestinians don't even exist.
They're Arabs. They're Arabs.
Well, you're right. It was carved out of the Ottoman Empire after World War I. But the Palestinian thing is that they see themselves as a distinct people in the Middle East. So if you believe in national self-determination, then you have to agree that the Palestinians
Okay.
should have their own homeland,
So,
right?
okay,
Typical.
son of the the son of the dictator for life. So what if I decided to say, okay, you and me and other people are just even though it's completely imaginary, we are a completely separate group of people from society, and therefore we should have the right to have our own nation. How would you respond?
So we're just gonna boil it down to the individual? Is that what we're doing now? Is that what we are gonna do?
Alfred's not
15?
triggered. Alfred's
Well,
triggered.
yeah. It's not that simple, man. Like you can't just get a group of people in a building, say like we're a new nation now, and we're gonna form a sovereign country within some other nation.
Yeah, Palestinians did that. They made up their own.
Well, I mean,
Palesti-
Palestinians they were a distinct people for thousands of years. They don't necessarily have their own nation, but if you went to somebody in like the Golan Heights in like 1600 and you asked them, what nationality are you? They would be like, oh, I'm a Palestinian. It's a distinct identity. It's not just like they just created it.
We never really used
But
Palestine until recently.
Do you believe that Israel, where it is today, is where the Jews originally settled before they were spread all throughout the world due to Roman persecution? I mean, I brought this up with the Finnish Bolshevik. Israel is actually in the place where it once lived. Have you seen the documentary from BBC about Rome and the First Jewish-Roman War?
Yeah, Titus, he sacked Jerusalem. The Israeli revolt. Yeah, I know.
But why should
they give a map of where Israel was located, and Israel is located exactly where it is today.
Alfred, don't overtalk.
Let Alfred speak.
Yeah, but I mean, most of these Jews aren't even the original Jews that came from Israel. These are Khazars, steppe people that converted to Judaism.
Yeah.
This is what the Ashkenazis are. If you want to guarantee them a living space, then you should ask for the Volga Valley and not for Israel.
Well, yeah, you're right. Only 2 of the original 12 tribes of Israel actually made it out of the diaspora. So, I mean, there's a lot of people who...
You're missing a fact. Not all Jews were kicked out. Some did manage to
try to bring the Bolshevik in here.
What? I want to get the Finnish Bolshevik in here.
No, don't get any Bolsheviks into our chat. They're just gonna ruin it.
But think about it this way, guys. If we don't have Israel, if Israel was like wiped off the map tomorrow,
I think I already invited the Finnish Bolshevik here. I want to debate.
They've been to the Holocaust, Goy. They've been to the Holocaust.
If you're gonna debate them, at least do it like in a private chat with them.
Yeah, like Finnish Bolshevik can come on if he wants to, but I don't want to make this whole stream about him. Like you guys already did a huge stream about him.
Yeah, about the white genocide.
What more is there to say?
We're not even finished. We're going to do a part 2 tomorrow or some other time because we're only 22 minutes in. There's another 22 minutes of the outright ad hominems and utter stupidity that the Finnish Bolshevik has to offer to us.
What about the traitorous Bolshevik since he hates his own homeland so much?
Yeah.
Like, Stalin didn't do nothing.
Isn't that a topic for another day? I mean...
Yeah, we can talk about Finnish Bolshevik another time. Well, let's go back to Israel, though. I was just saying that if we wipe off Israel, if Israel were to cease to exist tomorrow, then think about it. You would have all these people who formerly lived in Israel who would probably just spread out all over the world, and they would all come to the West.
Or get killed off because there's groups who want to wipe them out, like evil kigs,
Yeah, implying with the protection of Wall Street Bank, that they would be wiped out.
Debates.
By the way, according to the preview live stream that Ethan made, didn't you say a part of this live stream would be basically an interview with me?
Well, I mean, what do you want to talk about?
Like I don't know.
How did you abandon the center left?
I realized that they're economically illiterate.
Folk, man.
Yeah, well, one thing that struck me was that you talk about how the left use, black people, people of color, women, and other marginalized groups as pawns to further their own agenda. And I couldn't agree with that more, because you have to understand that what the left does in this respect is it's all just projection. Because you have to understand that these people on the left, these like hardcore SJWs and feminists, they've been taught their whole lives that they have to repress their emotions, they have to hide their true feelings, and a lot of these people, they're the most racist people of all. They're the most sexist people of all. And when they have to repress these emotions and these thoughts, then they project them onto other people. They see other people as being super sexist in everything they say. So they apply this like Freudian psychoanalysis on people. Any little thing that they say, they interpret as being like, oh, it's a microaggression, it's a sexist microaggression, you're being, like, implicitly racist. And that's really where all this stems from. It's just projection. It's a giant.
And there's a lot of cult
projection.
There's like a lot of cult-like aspects to the radical left. I mean, same with the radical right, but the radical left is guilty of this, especially in today's modern time. For example, as I said, they use marginalized groups of people to further their agenda. When I saw what happened in Europe in terms of immigration policy, which we could go into debate, but when I became skeptical of the immigration policies in Europe right now, then you have all these communists saying, "But you're bisexual, Brendan. You should support the rights of everyone." I'm like, what? But my sexuality has nothing to do with this topic. But he's like, "Oh, but you should, because you're a marginalized group, and you're trying to fight off another oppressed, marginalized group, Brendan."
Well, you have to understand that it's very difficult to acknowledge, treat everybody the same. You know what I mean? If you have a country that's, it's a majority of one ethnicity, it's very difficult to, represent every different ethnicity while, keeping out that one ethnicity. For instance, like, if you have Germany, for example, you can't have a Germany that recognizes, all the people of the world and, gives equal representation to, like Muslims, Indians, Africans, all those people, while at the same time being intrinsically German. It's just impossible.
Yeah.
You can't have equality like that. You have to have a nation that respects its own heritage, its own ethnicity, and you can't have this huge melting pot that the left wants to have. It's just it doesn't happen. It's impossible.
I think there's a difference between melting pot and multiculturalism. In terms of very small, a melting pot would be like other cultures are coming together to form one goal. I mean, in the United States, for example, you still have things like Chinese restaurants, so to speak. These Chinese workers can speak English. They can actually have culture in the United States, but they don't actually try to have their completely own different culture, their own morals, their own language. They don't have all this separate bullshit. They actually do have a lot in common with the rest of culture, and that's what a melting pot is. It's like combining different ingredients to make one finished product. But multiculturalism is what Sweden and Germany is doing. It's like
well, the melting pot also referred to like racial mixing, and that's why the second strawman, so to say, of the. Can we mention the minority that is behind it?
Well, yeah, it echoes really hard.
Yeah, the second Echo project was then multiculturalism, because they realized, the people aren't gonna really mix together. And then, we invite the entire world here, and we have different cultures in one country.
Well, okay, what you're talking about, guys, is like Canada is a perfect example of that, because it's a mixture of French, British, and First Nations heritage. Because
don't forget about Ukraine.
Yeah, all those peoples have a distinct role to play in the heritage of Canada. But I'm not you can't just bring in a bunch of different people from all around the world and expect them to have equal representation alongside French, British, and First Nations and other groups who actually had a role in forming this country, because it's just not the same thing. They can come here, they can maintain their own identity, but they're not going to have equal representation in the media, which is what these leftist groups want to have.
Like, for example, one thing that I've heard recently is that one thing that you should do before you can become a U.S. citizen is that you have to learn English, because let's face it, if you have like 10 different ethnic groups and every single ethnic group speaks entirely different languages with a lack of knowledge in any other language, you're not going to have a lot of peaceful talks here and there. You're going to have what Sweden has. You know, one group of people does not speak English whatsoever, or if they not English, but like, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, in order to have a high trust society, you have to have certain cultural values in common, which language, religion.
And that's why a melting pot works. That's why a melting pot works in the United States, because that's what we do. There are certain cultural goals that every single person, regardless of their sex, their race, gender identity, or whatnot, they all coexist by going towards one cultural goal, sharing cultural values with each other. And that's why melting pots work in Canada and the United States. But what Sweden and Germany has is multiculturalism, like a salad bowl, where instead of them forming one product, they're all just separate products, completely distinct from one another, but still a part of one group, which in many cases just doesn't work.
Yeah, well, I think it should be pointed out. I think I talked about this in the last stream, that the concept of the melting pot was actually created by, it was popularized by a play called The Melting Pot, written in 1909, I believe, by a guy named Israel Zangwill, who was part of the American Jewish Congress. So, like Alfred mentioned before, the group that's been promoting this melting pot ideology, it's very echoey. And it's all one distinct group. That
What, Jews?
I'm writing a paper for school, so I'm kind of busy, but I'm just here to kind of spectate. I might chime in if you guys.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, but I'm kind of busy.
What are you writing a paper about?
It's a paper for language arts.
Ah.
Yeah.
Were you making a play?
No, it's like a literature analysis of the Oedipus cycle.
Actually, this applies to some of you guys. I understand that some of you are still in high school. I have a brother who is in high school in Canada right now, and he tells me all about how they're like, in the past couple of years especially, they've been really pushing this this feminist, this like multiculturalist agenda.
Oh, trust me, all over here, Chicago, dude.
Oh God.
Here, Chicago.
Yeah, that.
I will admit, not high school.
My brother was actually had a field trip today, which he skipped, which was supposed to be some sort of like Black Power slam poetry thing. So,
oh my God,
it's insane. Like they're really just shilling this stuff so hard. It's
the other day in the auditorium, I literally heard some white kid and these black kids talking, and I heard the white kid say, "Yeah, fuck white people," and he's white too.
Oh, guys, hold on. That when Milo Yiannopoulos went to a university, a whole bunch of students started getting fake blood that represents periods and all over their faces and started shouting, "Fuck sexism! Fuck Milo!" Interrupt his entire speech.
Yeah, honestly, if I was still in high school and they were pushing this shit, I think that I would be much further to the right than I am right now.
Wait, is your brother like a libertarian, or you could invite him to the chat?
He doesn't use YouTube at all. But yeah, he has essentially the same opinions that I do. He just doesn't really go on the internet. He mostly just plays video games.
What's it? Gaming's a boys' club.
You still live with your brother, or you live in a separate place? Like.
No, yeah, he doesn't live with me.
Do you live by yourself?
He lives with my parents still. Do
you live by yourself in like some apartment?
Yeah, I have a couple roommates, but yeah, I pay my own rent.
Do you guys have any other questions for me?
Yeah, actually, this may be a bit embarrassing, but I understand that you are a fan of the television show My Little Pony. Could you please explain what the appeal of this show is? Because I really don't understand it at all.
I don't get it either.
I don't either.
I haven't watched the show.
It's gonna be great.
I want to
Alfred, this is gonna be
I'm
great.
a fan of My Little Pony, but I won't.
Let Brandon respond, and then Luis can talk after.
Because I'm degenerate. What do you expect? That's all I'm gonna say.
Well, I mean, I'm sure that we all have our degenerate hobbies. I mean, nobody is completely ubermensch here. But like, what is the appeal of this show? Like, why do you watch it?
Though, in all honesty, I kind of lost the interest, but I still like to use it to troll people.
Okay, but what drew you to it initially? Is it the animation? Is it the storytelling?
Yeah, no, actually, I guess I tried to fit in on the internets at the time. Because it was like a big fad. And I just liked a lot of aspects of the fandom at the time.
But like, why My Little Pony? Why not like Dora the Explorer or Bob the Builder or some other thing?
That's a good idea. Hey, that's a good idea. That'll be the new meme on the left. Bob the Builder, the ultimate communist.
Yeah, we should co-opt Bob the Builder and turn him into a fascist. Sort of like kind of like
white and
No, Teletubbies.
doesn't Bob the Builder look a bit like Mussolini?
Left-wing TV show for little kids.
Because like, kind of what we did with Moon Man. Like, he used to be Mac Tonight. He was a McDonald's mascot, and then a bunch of people like turned him into like a racist rapper. So like we should do something like that with Bob the Builder. We should call him like Bob the Phalange.
We should make the Teletubbies into National Socialists.
Yeah.
A few people actually did that already. You just got search on YouTube.
I'm sure we would get sued by Nickelodeon if we did that, though.
Shut it down.
Yeah.
For you.
Well, you know who owns Nickelodeon.
Hey, I have a
Greenberg.
Well,
Nickelodeon.
Summerstein.
Oh, Tom, did you see our live stream with Here Real Nowhere, man?
Yeah, I saw that actually.
Oh, it was funny. He's just like, I was like, oh my god, dude.
It's hilarious.
I was like, oh my god.
That guy he's a national socialist, right?
A white nationalist.
Like he calls himself a separationist. He doesn't like to call himself a national socialist or anything like that. He's just a separatist and isolationist.
Yeah.
Anti-white, anti-European.
Okay, guys.
I have a question for Vladivostok. What's your thoughts on copyright system in YouTube? Have you seen that Nostalgia Critic video about copyright?
Sorry, which video are you talking about?
Nostalgia Critics.
Nostalgia Critic. Oh, yeah, I did see one of his videos, actually. The thing you have to understand is that copyright law, it doesn't just apply
Copyright!
Yeah.
Copyright!
There's definitely a bunch of parentheses around that word, but like, fair use has been around since, I don't know, for the past like 50 years or so. But the thing is, it's YouTube's flagging system that's corrupt, because anybody can just come and flag your video and say that it has copyrighted material on it, whether it does or it does not, and that can get your video shut down. So
especially by the NSA and the JIDF.
Yeah, exactly. So I think YouTube has to really reform its flagging system in order for fair use laws to be viable on this website. Because you know, I've seen people get shut down from YouTube for essentially doing nothing, for like putting up a picture. That's why I'm very cautious about which pictures I use in my videos, which music I use. That's why I usually use like classical music, because it's all in public domain. There's really no risk of getting shut down by copyright claims for that. So,
wait a minute, Vlad, I have a question for you. Is it true that Social Democrat 01 was like stalking you, and when you thumbed up a video,
oh my god, not this.
That guy's been stalking me since I started on YouTube, man. I think that guy has some sort of weird obsession with me.
He has a weird obsession with
You're telling me.
He goes to all my favorited videos and just like he's basically like thought police. He just goes to my favorite videos and is like, I don't approve of this. This is fascist. This is racist.
We at Angry Bastards have exposed the bastard.
Yeah, I saw that.
Can you go to screenshot and see one of his responses?
I watched his latest video about Pinochet.
Was it Bernie Sanders?
Bernie Sanders.
Well, I mean,
I don't know.
you complained about like black
You
humor.
can provide
Oh
you.
no, somebody
Sorry.
put Trump in an SS uniform and Bernie into a gas chamber. Oh no.
Yeah,
No.
I saw that.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
helicopter rides.
Hey, you can
Yeah.
provide a $15 minimum wage, absolutely free healthcare, and a major expansion of Social Security, and also a basic income of $3,000 a month. The Bernie man can.
I call him a socialist / communist.
Let's give him a helicopter.
Somebody's not going to be happy with this.
I wish that Bernie would beat Hillary in the Democratic nomination, just so I could see Donald Trump just tear that guy a new asshole in a debate. Like,
Yeah.
Can you imagine the Trumpenführer up against Bernie Sanders? Like, there's no way that Bernie Sanders would not be crying at the end of that debate.
Yeah.
There's no
Wait,
way.
What's your full thoughts on Donald Trump? Like, why do you support him?
I love Donald Trump. He's exactly what the United States needs right now.
Bastards.
Yeah, here's the thing.
He's the best god emperor you can get.
One sec. If you look at the last few presidents of the United States, I mean Barack Obama, Bill Clinton,
George Bush.
well, not George Bush, but they've all been attorneys. Notice that? They've all been lawyers and attorneys.
Yeah.
What do lawyers do? They get paid to make a case. They get paid to sell their point. That's not what the United States needs. They need right now. Yeah, when they're up to their fucking shoulders in debt, when they're getting ripped off by all these countries like Mexico, like China, they need somebody like Donald Trump who has a good business sense to run the country.
Mark Cuban. You heard of Mark Cuban? I would support him for president for the same reason. The fact of the matter is that Donald Trump has a very good tax policy. Are you familiar with the 1-5?
Sorry, you cut out. I couldn't hear you.
Are you familiar with Donald Trump's 1-5-10-15 policy?
I haven't read his tax policy, no, but I've heard from some people that it's very good.
Well, like his policy that he introduced in his 1999 book, How to Make America Great Again, his tax plan went like this. If you make less than $300,000 in income, then you have to pay a 1% income tax. If you make at least $100,000, but no more than $500,000, you have to pay 5%. If you make $500,000 to $1 million, then you have to pay 10%. And if you earn more than $1 million, you have to pay a 15% income tax. So this is a major tax cut for not only the rich, but also for the
Where are you going, Luis?
Luis.
I'm eating.
I think this is a good idea.
Okay,
I think this is.
Okay, sorry to interrupt you, Brandon, but Luis, can you please mute your mic when you're not speaking? Because there's a lot of noise coming out from your side.
Sorry, I'm eating.
Shut it down, Luis.
Shut it down, Louis.
Shut it down. Any now and then I get a little bit hungry and I gotta shut it down.
Shut up, Goyam. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
The reason, hold on. The reason why I think that's a good policy is because the problem with property tax in the United States is that it's requiring employers to meet unnecessarily high expectations from their workers. It's to the point where because employers have to pay property taxes, a high income tax, and whatnot, employers in many cases, especially with small businesses, employers actually make far less than the total income of their employees, and basically punishing people for wanting to improve their property. So I think Trump's tax policy actually will create an incentive for employers to improve their property.
Absolutely. Yeah, from what you've just said, that sounds like a great tax policy. I mean, I believe in having I don't believe in having a flat income tax. I believe in having a progressive tax system. But I think that in the United States and pretty much most of the Western world, the rich are too highly taxed. So from what you've just said, it sounds like he has a very fair tax policy.
Well, the wealth gaps in the U.S. are stupid high, though. They're really bad.
Yeah, but here's the thing about that. It's because of government intervention these
government. Evil government.
200. Okay, here's the thing. People were complaining on the news the other day that waiters and waitresses only get paid $2.35 an hour. But the reason for that is because what?
They get tips, right?
Yeah, they get tips, but they get paid $2.35 an hour by their bosses. And they're like, no, that's not enough. Tips are not enough. You need to pay me more. It's the reason for this is because restaurants like Applebee's and Chinese restaurants, these places are just very small businesses. Even though some of them might be pretty good in terms of size, like there's this one fried chicken place, this one fried chicken corporation here in the South called Zaxby's. They're pretty popular. They have 500,000 employees, but they still don't earn enough money to, pay all the property taxes, to make sure the doors stay open. They still need a lot of money to pay the minimum wage to these waiters and waitresses, or else it's going to cause inflation, which is why I changed my mind on the minimum wage. Just to go off topic very quickly.
Just look at a city like San Francisco, I believe, where they had a $15 minimum wage just recently. And a lot of small businesses just they had to close up shop because they couldn't afford to pay their employees that. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that Bernie Sanders wants to have such a high minimum wage. Like it's almost like he wants to have mass unemployment. I mean, a high minimum wage is great.
Yeah, but here's the thing: like Denmark, even though it has a it's a free market, but they use very high taxes.
Here's a fun fact about that. The thing is, and this is contrary to what your guys...
Let me finish.
Fine.
Like, for example, McDonald's. Since there's a free market in Denmark, the minimum wage in McDonald's, and remember, Denmark does not have a minimum wage whatsoever. And the minimum wage in McDonald's,
Sweden.
Wait, let me finish. The minimum wage in McDonald's in Denmark is $20. That is like twice as much as what Bernie Sanders wants. That's $15.
I mean, you have to understand though that different countries have different values in their dollar. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Denmark's not paying people in dollars.
Yeah, they're paying them in euros.
Euros suck.
Yeah, well, the thing is, like, most people, like, a minimum wage is not intended for you to live on. It's intended for young people.
Yeah, high school kids and kids in college who are trying to make a profit while still in school.
Exactly. It's for people to get their first job, to earn experience in order to qualify them for higher paying jobs. It's not meant for people to, people are not meant to work at McDonald's for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
It's because people are stupid and they
like there was this really pathetic landfill who once went on a video, and she was like, McDonald's, you don't give me enough money so I can buy a new pair of boots. And I'm like, shut up, you stupid land whale.
Yeah.
Land whales are pathetic. Oh, this is beautiful. Fuck off, it's not.
Can you show your apartheid flag again?
Oh my god, Louis. Oh my god, you really want to see that again? I mean, move out of the way, because I don't want to reveal myself. I don't want an idiot docs dropping me or something like that.
Yeah, but you show your face on other videos before.
I just don't care. There it is.
You can't really see it. Yeah, I only see the American flag.
I can see the apartheid flag perfectly.
Yeah, I can see it, but only a part of it.
I see the whole thing.
You should get a Rhodesia flag as well.
Yeah, Rhodesia.
Yeah, I said the same thing.
No, now I see. You just have to flip the phone sideways. Yeah, that is the British flag.
Orange Free State and then like some Dutch.
Yeah, it was the it's the Boro state.
Boer Afrikaners or something like that.
By the way, guys, here's a fun fact about Rhodesia and Zimbabwe. It's a fact that most black people in Zimbabwe today...
Can I turn off the camera now?
Yeah. Most people in Zimbabwe believe Rhodesia was far better than the current regime.
Of course. The only people who think that Zimbabwe was better are white swipple pieces of shit from
and Robert Mugabe himself.
Or stupid little Marxist little faggot.
King of the monkeys.
I'm sure if you gave people like Finnish Bolshevik the choice, I'm sure he would much rather live in the comfort of some Finland suburb than in Zimbabwe, where the inflation rate is like 10,000, and he's gonna get killed for just walking down the street.
Because he evil whitey nigga shit.
If you watch the rest of the video, which we haven't finished, he says that he doesn't support Mugabe. He says that Mugabe is a capitalist.
Oh my fucking god, what an idiot! He tried to collectivize white farmers, saying, we need to collectivize this agriculture for the benefit of our race. Like, what the fuck? It's the same policy Stalin implemented. How is that capitalist?
Yeah, it's funny. I read an article recently about how there's food shortages in Zimbabwe now. Like, you kicked out all the white farmers. What did you think was going to happen? Like,
fucking whitey did it.
Yeah, a lot of the Zimbabweans, they think that after Rhodesia was destroyed, they think that the whites like put spells on the land to prevent blacks from growing crops.
What the fuck?
What? I can't hear.
It sounds like conspiracy. It sounds like conspiracy.
Yeah, they use, like, according to the a lot of the blacks in Zimbabwe right now, the Rhodesians put spells. They use witchcraft to put hexes on the crops to prevent anything from growing there. When in reality, they just don't know how to grow shit because they kicked out all the white people.
Because they're retarded like that.
Oh, by the way, I've been reading some articles recently, including an article from Time magazine. There's actually, besides, it's not just Zimbabwe, but there's actually a lot of people in Africa who Shengo would call Uncle Toms. The fact of the matter is, there's actually a lot of Africans today who believe that European colonialism was better for them than the current regimes that they live under. Like, when Europeans colonized certain countries in Africa, infrastructure was improved, education was improved, living standards were high, and black people and white people actually coexisted pretty well together. But as soon as the white people were departed, these people actually think that that's what made their country so shitty.
Well, I mean,
black people and white people coexisted together under apartheid. What the fuck is that, Brendan?
I'm not talking about
Where'd you
South
learn
Africa.
that from? Did you get that off Stormfront or something?
No.
Well,
I know.
it really depends on the country you're
So
looking
colonialism, like people live peacefully together under one
look at
people taking another and forcing them to submit to their rules and exploiting them. I mean, how is that?
South Africa was technically not taken. The country was basically unpopulated when the Dutch arrived. The Zulu came later in and tried to steal the country from the Boers. That's the thing that is always ignored. But it really depends on which country in Africa you're looking at. Yeah. If you look at some French
in Rhodesia, at least it was pretty close to having equal rights in Rhodesia.
Yeah.
There were black politicians, there were black doctors, there were black businessmen. They earned the same wage as white people. They were treated more or less the same under the law as white people.
Okay, so, I do respect my point.
So to continue my point, it really depends on which country you're looking at, because the British and the French could really be at times brutal. You must only look at the Civil War type things happening in Kenya in the 60s. But some other colonies were basically really humane, so to say, for our colony, like Tanzania under the German colonization.
Yeah.
For example, they didn't commit any real massacres. They improved infrastructure, and even African historians say that Tanzania would have been the most well-developed country in Africa if the Germans had stayed for 30 years more. So it really depends.
Yeah, leftists like to focus on like these massacres that happened in Belgium, like under Leopold II, who he cut off a bunch of people's hands. But that was an anomaly. for colonialism. Most colonial states in Africa, like Rhodesia and Tanzania, as you said, and some of the other German states like Cameroon, like the people lived, they had a higher standard of living under colonialism than they do now. That's for sure. And
countries like South Africa was not really the best. I have to agree with that. In many cases, colonialism did not benefit the Africans, but in some cases, it did a lot. I'm not saying it was justified to invade other people's countries. What I'm saying is there's just a lot of different perspectives, contrary to what Marxists would like to tell you.
Yeah, well, just while we're on the subject of colonialism, what do you guys think of this this Rhodes Must Fall thing that's going on at Oxford right now? They're trying to tear down the Cecil Rhodes statue.
What?
Yeah, like.
Well, it's.
They think that like Cecil Rhodes was this huge, he was an imperialist, but he played a huge part in British history and in the founding of the British Empire.
Rhodesia is named after him.
Exactly, yeah, and he founded the De Beers Diamond Corporation, and these Swipple leftists in the universities, who've probably all been like inculcated with like cultural Marxist ideology. They think that he was like this huge tyrant, and they want to take his statue down and destroy his legacy. I mean, this is not very much different than what's been going on in the States with a lot of these people trying to destroy Confederate history. Like they're trying to take down a statue of Nathan Bedford Forrest in Alabama, I think, and numerous other statues. They're trying to get rid of the Confederate flag.
They try to remove the monument in Stone Mountain, which I actually visited.
Yeah.
History's cool, but I'm not gonna do that just because.
Here's the thing about that. They do not realize that they're actually going against themselves, because when you're destroying parts of history that you do not like, to quote someone that I've heard of, those who do not remember their history are doomed to repeat it. I think that's going to happen.
That was George Santayana who said that.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're going against them, because when you destroy all the parts of history that you do not like, it's bound to repeat again, because no one can actually see what actually happened in the past.
It's the same thing that that ISIS and these towel heads are doing in the Middle East, where they're blowing up statues of Buddha and they're destroying ancient monuments just because
Assyrian monuments.
So they're like Muslim faith. Like, it's ridiculous. They can't stand to have anything that doesn't adhere to their ideology.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Like, look, they try to deny history, like the Holodomor, the Cake Massacre. They all say, "Oh, it's a hoax. It never happened."
DDD never happened. Conspiracy.
Yeah, and Donald Trump was saying in a rally the other day that the main target for ISIS is the Vatican City, because they want to destroy Western civilization, and they see the Catholic faith and the Catholic Church and the St. Peter's Basilica as like the center of Western faith. So they want to destroy it. That's their main target, and it makes sense because that's where all the icons of Western civilization have lied.
Where's all their icons at? Mecca?
Yeah, Mecca.
Did you guys hear about the lightning strike that happened in Mecca during 9/11?
No, what happened?
Yeah, apparently some lightning struck and it killed a ton of people praying in the Mecca on 9/11 too.
What?
During 2001 or like recently?
No, it was 2015 when this happened, which was last year.
Oh yeah. Didn't there was some crane that was actually owned by the Bin Laden Corporation that collapsed and killed a bunch of people. I heard about that.
I saw it on LiveLeak. I saw all the blood and shit all over the place. It was messed up.
Ooh, I'm thinking like, oh, that's just like.
And everybody was just split.
I'm thinking.
Wait, how do you leave from lightning? It's just.
No, it hit the crane and then the crane fell and when the crane fell, it crushed a ton of people.
Yeah.
Oh, it struck a building something?
Yeah, I think. Like, what were they constructing? Do you know, Tom?
I actually don't know. They're probably like apartments or something.
Some kind of mosque thing. Do not know.
Yeah, they're probably making a mosque.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on Muhammad, Tom?
Thoughts on what?
On what?
Muhammad, the prophet of Islam.
He was a bloodthirsty mass murderer who raped 9-year-olds. What else is there to say?
Yeah.
Degenerate.
It's all different.
Okay.
Be careful, don't get called Islamophobe now.
Okay, well, one of the things about Muhammad you have to understand is really nobody in history is like totally bad or totally evil. I mean, as a Christian, I have no respect for Muhammad in a theological way, but Muhammad, at least, he was able to unite the Arabs under a single language, a single God. I mean, he abolished all the different weird religions and weird idols and stuff. I mean, he was a good politician. I mean...
Well, yeah, he was a good general, I'll give him that. He conquered a lot of land, but...
Almost all the Middle East.
I think the
person, maybe he was a lot
better off today if he didn't exist, and we still had all these weird Bedouin tribes.
That'd be weird.
I don't know about that. I think that he was probably a positive force for Arab culture and stuff for the Middle East, but theologically, I mean, I obviously don't respect him, but...
Hey, Augustus.
Sorry, let me just ask Manuel a question. What sect of Christianity do you adhere to?
Catholic, but I mean, I'm open to anybody who has better doctrine, and I'm not a dogmatic person,
Yeah.
Is Marxism against?
Yeah, I was raised Catholic myself, and at least, even though I'm essentially an atheist, I still identify myself as like being a cultural Christian, because I identify with like Catholic religion, the Catholic faith.
Yeah.
Ben's Catholic.
Augustus.
Yeah.
Who do you think would win in a full-scale war, 40,000 against 40,000? Julius Caesar or Muhammad?
Muhammad.
That's hard to say.
That's pretty tough.
Probably. It depends on the soldiers and depends on their equipment. I mean, if Muhammad has cavalry, he'll probably win.
Yeah, well, the reason that Muhammad was able to conquer, well, one of the tactical reasons that he was able to conquer so much territory was that he developed the stirrup before a lot of places in Europe did. And the stirrup was essential in military history because it allowed the soldiers to have greater control of the horse, and it was essentially it was very effective against infantry, whereas Julius Caesar didn't have any stirrups on his horses.
The real problem is we don't really know anything about how good of a commander Muhammad was. Well, we have the Quran, but...
And the conquest, that's about it.
I can't imagine the Quran detailing how, he fought.
I would say that, like, the caliphates that came after Muhammad, I think could reflect probably a lot of what his original one was like. You could draw from that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you compare like similar battles throughout history between like Muhammad's forces and what could be generally compared to Julius Caesar's forces, like for instance, the Battle of Tours between Charles Martel and I can't remember his name, some Arab guy in France. The reason that Charles Martel was able to decisively defeat him was because he had very heavy infantry, and Charles Martel, the Arab guy had like tons of light cavalry, but Julius Caesar's army was mostly composed of heavy infantry. So who's to say that his heavy infantry wasn't comparable to Charles Martel, and that he would have defeated the Arab light cavalry?
Well, it really depends on how the Romans would have been equipped, because well,
we generally know how they were equipped.
The Frankish heavy soldiers were equipped with mostly spears, and the Romans.
Romans were most soldiers of antiquity were equipped with spears.
Yeah, but I mean the Romans of Julius Caesar focused mostly on the sword. And
well, no, his army had spears too. Pretty much all armies throughout antiquity fought with spears as their main weapon.
Especially the Greeks. Mainly the Greeks, though.
Yeah.
The Macedonians too, with the phalanx and all that.
Yeah.
Like the Athenians and the Spartans and stuff.
Yeah.
They were totally spear units.
Yeah, the phalanx was perfected by Alexander the Great.
I think Napoleon will kick his ass.
Of course he would. He's got gunpowder. That's like an unfair edge.
Well, okay, but that's not really that fair. I mean, it is kind of fair because you could just compare, like, let's say the Ottoman Empire to Napoleon. I mean, they had gunpowder too.
Well, the Ottoman Empire would lose.
I don't think. I don't know
Especially
about
if it
that.
was at the same time period.
The Ottoman Turks. I don't know.
They had poor military organization compared to Western Europe, and they also had a really shit economy at the time of.
But,
It's economic.
and the whole thing was also basically based on, substandard gunpowder troops, cannons, and light
part of the
Tatar
economy
cavalry.
of
I mean, that couldn't compete
the Ottoman
against
state
Napoleon's drilled
degenerated over time.
Well, actually, one of my favorite battles in all of history was the Battle of Lepanto in 1571 between the Holy League, which was composed of Rome, Venice, and Spain mostly, against the Ottoman Empire. It was a huge naval battle, and
wasn't that where they skinned this one Turkish commander alive?
Yeah, they did.
Ooh.
Used it as a sail?
It was a decisive victory for the Holy League, primarily because Venice had developed what could be described as a proto-capitalist economy, and that they had private-owned ship construction.
Well, didn't Shakespeare write The Merchant of Venice?
Right?
The gift of capitalism to Europe.
Yeah, well,
The
yeah,
Venetians were just like...
it gave them much better ships, much better cannons, much better equipment than the Ottomans. And after the battle, like pretty much any battle between the Ottomans and the Europeans, if the Ottomans won, they would always plunder the European ships to use them in their own fleet. But if the Europeans won, they would pretty much just scuttle all the Ottoman stuff because it was completely crap and useless. It was usually just like obsolete European models that they used. So it just goes to show that capitalism and Western style economies are much more efficient than Eastern authoritarian style economies.
Hey, Augustus.
Say that to Mashal.
Okay. In far right circles, people like to refer to the Roman Empire as Orthodox fascism. A very early example of fascism before the term was even invented. Would you consider the Roman Empire to be Orthodox fascism?
You mean proto-fascism?
Basically.
Well, I mean, fascism. It's a hard ideology to pin down. You ask, non-fascists a question, you're probably going to get 12 different answers, right? But I think that it's probably, it's a forerunner to fascism for sure. Because if you look at the iconography of people like Benito Mussolini, they drew heavily on fascism, on ancient Roman symbolism.
Mussolini saw himself as recreating the Roman Empire.
Sorry?
Didn't Mussolini see himself as recreating the Roman Empire?
Oh, yeah, or something like that.
Yeah.
The United States was, America uses the fascist, which is a Roman symbol, because the U.S. is modeled off the Roman Republic. Just kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's true. But
well, the doctrine, if you compare the doctrine to the military dictatorship phase of the Roman Empire around, Christ's birth, you can get some similarities like the leader principle, but otherwise I don't see anything. Fascism is based on ethical socialism, meaning that the whole people of a nation work together. I don't see that in a context of a slave society.
one more thing I want to add. In the height of the Roman Empire, it was essentially like a multiculturalist state. They took slaves from other countries and then they brought them to the Roman Empire. So it was pretty much a mixing pot for all intents and purposes. It wasn't really, they didn't really have an ethno-nationalist identity.
Yeah, but the Romans basically only lived in Rome, and the colonies they built in the Roman Empire, like Carthage.
But
in terms of imperialism and having a strong leader as the head of state, then I guess there are similarities to fascism. That's for sure.
But probably only under Caesar, and to a degree under Augustus, because after that the emperor only became a figurehead for the empire and the bureaucracy, except for maybe Trajan and Aurelius and maybe Constantine, but otherwise they were just figureheads and not leaders in the sense.
Well, Constantine brought
Well,
Christendom to Rome in that case.
well, I mean, yeah, there were very few effective Roman emperors after the Pax Romana, but I mean, the Roman emperor just definitely had like a dictator-like authority over his people.
But I mean, the leader in fascism is not only based on like dictatorial rule. It's based on that the best and the most capable will rule and will participate in this entire process, not only being like the guy who says, bring me a drink, but he actually makes the drink, so to say.
Yeah.
And I that's why I wouldn't say that Claudius or Nerva or maybe Nero or Caligula were leaders in a sense, just emperors, but Trajan, who like conquered Parthia and Dacia, was kind of a leader like that.
Yeah, and Augustus, he conquered modern-day Croatia and modern-day
Egypt
Austria.
and
Hispania.
subdued the Thracians and
Hispania, yeah.
fought against the Germans.
Yeah, but
And
yeah.
we wrecked him in 9 AD. Never forget.
The Germans
Never
are just like,
forget.
nope,
Then
you're not coming here.
Yeah.
It's like 9.
476 AD, best day of my life.
Oh, what was it? 455 Vandals sacked Rome. 410 was the Goths, and 455 was
Guys.
the Vandals.
Guys, what's your thoughts on leftists who, like, before I get into the question, like, have you noticed that leftists, whenever they lose an argument or they don't have an argument, they just call the other side bigoted? Because here's a problem that I've always had with that. Every single human being, especially decent human beings, are bigoted to other people to some degree or another. If you believe that psychopaths are immoral for being unempathetic towards anyone, and you absolutely hate psychopaths, you're bigoted towards psychopaths, but for a decent reason. And leftists tend to be bigots as well. I mean, leftists are huge bigots when it comes to rich people. They're just jealous of them. I mean, literally, what's with this argument that someone's a bigot? It's not an argument, because everyone on this planet is a bigot to some degree.
They're trying to kind of like what Tom said at the beginning. They're just projecting their thoughts onto you.
No. I'm saying, like, what's the point of saying someone's a bigot when everyone on this planet, unless you're a complete retard, is a bigot?
I'm a bigot even.
Well, that's kind of a false argument, because you imply that, like, hate is just a normal thing.
Yeah, sorry, Manuel, repeat your point.
Well, that's kind of a non-argument though, because you imply that like hate is a good thing, and hate is somehow, like a normal human thing. I mean, people don't hate psychopaths. People shouldn't hate them. They should hate what they do. I mean,
yeah, well, I don't think that
we should hate the sin, not the sinner, right?
Yeah, I don't think that Brandon was talking about hate necessarily, because I'm pretty sure that none of us hate anybody really. It's more along the lines of forming judgments based on the differences between different groups, right?
There's things Brandon.
Bigotry in the
I mean, I guess, but the definition of bigotry is like
you don't like people's opinions. It can also go for opinions too. If you don't like other people's opinions.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the definitions from Google Dictionary. What a bigot is. A bigot is someone who's intolerant of other people's opinions.
Didn't JH Independence use that on Libertarian Social in his video response?
Yeah, he did.
But to answer your question, Brandon, I think it's just because of cultural Marxism and just because of the society we live in, people have been indoctrinated from a very young age to think that any sort of judgment about differences between whether it be differences between sex, differences between religion, differences between ethnicity, any sort of judgments about differences like that, it's considered. It's to be looked down upon, and we should strive to be free of any sort of judgments like that, and we should just see each other as like brothers in flesh.
And it goes, touching bigotry as basic instinct is going so far to actually program people. I mean, bigotry in the most natural sense is just an acknowledgement that there are things that are dangerous to you. And, from that point on, the brain analyzes these things. If it considers it dangerous, you are bigoted against the lion who is also in your region of the savannah and is, also going for the big animals.
Yeah, to me, like, I understand. It's intrinsic to human nature. It's just a way of pattern recognition. Like, it's a way of survival. If you eat a flower and it makes you sick, obviously you're not going to want to eat that flower again. If you eat a certain fruit or a certain animal and it tastes like shit, obviously you're not going to want to eat that again. So obviously humans and probably most animals, to some extent, have this pattern recognition intrinsic to their functioning, and then humans just sort of they apply this pattern recognition to different groups, like religion, sex, and ethnicity. And these leftist groups, like these SJWs, they see this as they see this as like hate. And if you express these judgments in public, then you just want to, gas the sixth Gorillion, and you're a Nazi and you're evil.
Yeah, I'm not a Nazi just because I don't like what Brandon does, and he doesn't like my faith for different reasons. But does that mean I'm just like, oh, you two should just love each other? I'm like, that's not gonna happen though.
Also heard because I saw a comment. You know that bit that we made of Mugabe. Well, I look at the comments, and then Social Democrat says, "Hey, you want to do a live broadcast?" And then they were talking and stuff like that. And he says, "The live broadcast will be with Red Scare TV." So.
Yeah, I'll look forward to watching that actually.
But I've noticed that on both sides of the political spectrum, there's a form of bigotry in the sense of absolute hatred or distrust for a certain group of people. It's very similar, but for a different group of people. People on the radical left just absolutely hate people who are a higher class than them. They hate business owners. They hate people who own private property. They think they're all evil. They're all evil. They all exploit the working class.
Fucking bourgeoisie. Fucking bourgeoisie.
That's not the leftist viewpoint of the rich. That's a non-argument.
No. I'm just saying that's like what a lot of people on the left do. I'm not saying you do.
You may perceive that, but I know tons of Marxists who, I mean, they're not the ideal revolutionary. They won't kill people in a revolution. I mean, people don't hate people because of what they are. It's because of what they do. I mean, the problem, like from the Marxist point of view, it's not that they're jealous of what the rich have. Marxists don't want to own the means of production and exploit people. They're not jealous. I mean, they just want everybody to, I guess, live equally and to each according to his need and from each according to his ability. I mean, people hate the system, not necessarily the people in it.
Yeah, I understand that. I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying that there's a lot of people that I perceive to be classist against rich people. That's all I'm saying. I
guess on the far left, I would disagree with that, but I would say like Bernie Sanders people and stuff. Yeah, I mean, what do they want? They want more money, right? They are jealous of the rich.
Gives me that.
They want their $15 an hour so they can go buy whatever they want. They're not about abolishing the system. They're about getting more. More free stuff.
Yeah. Also, Manuel's a communist again. Now, can we have like a debate?
Again, Luis?
Yeah. Come on, man.
I guess I do agree with you, Brandon, but like partly.
Okay, but like
so
I was going to compare.
Sorry, Brandon. So Manuel, you are a communist again?
Yeah.
It's just with him better than anything else I've noticed.
Can I ask why you changed your ideology?
I mean, that's where my heart is, man. I kind of had to leave it away because of certain people, and I had to kind of
clean it up.
No, not anybody in particular, really. I'm not going to name them, but I just had to wash my hands of a lot of stuff and kind of do some soul searching. I mean, I've been a Marxist since I was 14, man. So.
Wow.
That's fine. So like, do you identify like with So you're still like a Maoist third worldist, are you?
No. I guess I just consider myself a communist. I guess. I mean, I'm currently trying to read more theory and write more and research more. And I mean, I am trying to develop ideologically more, but I mean, I have my own personal like opinions on certain stuff, but I don't really hold any label, you know.
All right, that's cool.
Alfred, why did you leave Marxism for Marxism? That's one of the reasons why we actually had this huge conflict a couple of months ago.
Well, I think that we're talking about third worldism, are we?
Yeah.
Because the mic is a bit, bad.
Shut your microphone
down. I think that the
Luis,
please,
please mute your microphone.
Yeah, dude. God, Louis, you're just like talking.
Well, I think that the definition of exploitation by Marxism is kind of subjective, and so because who really defines what is an unequal exchange? You know, who really defines what is unequal trade between first world nations and third world nations? And the Marxist concept of why our world is so bad at the moment goes only out from this Rousseauish understanding of humanity, so to say that. There are these noble savages, and then there are the people corrupted by civilization, so there are only social causes to certain phenomena. And third worldism is extremely based on that presupposition. That the third world is only poor because, so to say, evil Whitey came and took our
why
goods
else are
away.
they poor though? Like, can you provide an explanation? Are you just going to come out right and say because they're the inferior race, or are you going to beat around the bush?
No, I haven't said that.
No, but that's what it sounds like you're concluding to. I mean,
well, okay. If I have to say why the third world is poor, it's because A, because of extremely high birth rates, B, because of just because of the values that they hold. They don't have, like, for many of the poorest nations in the world, let's say Congo or Central African Republic, many of them, they don't have any real conception of private property. If you're in a family and you own a wage, then the wage that you earn, it belongs not only to you, but to your family as well. So they have a very collective idea of property. And I think that collective idea of property really holds them back economically from really developing a Western
African countries, it depends.
I think Tom's right. I mean, I think that you can't try and have a collective society within the context of capitalism. I mean, capitalism, if you want to do capitalism, do it all the way and have it develop into the industrial, state. Don't try and like have kind of communes that like produce stuff and sell stuff and people fight over. Like one of the reasons that they have such high birth rates is because the parents steal all those kids' paychecks.
Yeah, but they end up sharing all that stuff with the kids as well.
Yeah.
So there's less, like, even if the country has a very high wealth, they have to split. Like, the GDP per capita is very low because there's so many people in the country. But Manuel, I just want to, in response to that, I want to talk about Japan, for instance. Japan, up until like the late 19th century, it was a poor, relatively poor. I mean, like, the average person in Japan, the average peasant was very poor. It was very agrarian. It was very feudal, much like many countries in Africa are like today.
Samurai.
Yeah, as soon as they switched to a modern, advanced economy, thanks to Western leadership, their economy just exploded, and they became just as advanced as the rest of the Western world in the matter of a few decades. So it just goes to show that embracing capitalism can make even the poorest country rich.
No, actually, that's not a point that Marxists disagree with. Marx actually explained how capitalism was an extremely revolutionary system. I mean, the profit motive drives everything in capitalism, and if you can do something more efficient or whatever to make more profits, I mean, it's going to happen.
So then what's the benefit of having a communist economy?
Well, it eliminates the sort of political and economic and social relations and exploitation and other stuff that Marx disagreed with, and other leaders. I think that a system based on instead of on greed and selfishness and vanity and consumerism, and I think that capitalism is one of the most anti-Christian systems that's ever existed, man.
I would agree with you
I
on
think
that.
that a system based on love and it might sound corny, but I mean love and community and heroism and working together to get stuff done. I don't see how that's like. I'm not a utopian. I mean, communism is a real, material, physical, defined goal. That
Okay, I sort of understand where you're coming from. I mean, I agree that having a high trust society where everybody works together, everybody trusts each other, and nobody's out to exploit the other guy, that's a good thing. We should strive towards that. But I don't see how that's mutually exclusive with capitalism. I think that if you have a capitalist economy where that's very high trust and people have a lot in common with their neighbors, I think that that's the way to go. Not having a communist economy. Like, if you have a communist economy in a low trust society, it's going to remain a low trust society. It's not just going to magically
man. Just,
where everybody cooperates.
I mean, look at society today. I mean, look at what capitalism has produced today.
Well,
I mean,
I wouldn't say that what we have today in the West.
See, this is the argument. This is the it's not real capitalism. This is the thing that's going to stop like the debate, because I mean, I can sit and kind of try and prove or whatever to say it's capitalism, but I mean, it doesn't fit your definition of what capitalism is. So, I mean,
Free market, unregulated system.
Yeah.
I mean, Russia isn't, so much better off because of communism, really. They
well,
pushed
I mean,
a lot
the
of
Russians
stuff
made a
under
lot of bad
Putin under a
mistakes.
mixed economic system, but the average Russian guy in the 80s was probably relatively as poor as the peasant in the 20s.
Jeez.
Well, I
That's
mean,
towards the end of
think
the
about it.
lifetime.
That Russia or the Soviet Union was the first actual attempt. I mean, it was the first time this was tried in, a country and tried to make it modernized and stuff like that. I mean, this is people just shooting off in the dark. The Chinese did a lot better. I mean, they had a lot of mistakes, but I mean, I think we learn from what was done right and discard what was done wrong. I mean, I'm not going to deny that. Like, bad stuff happened. I mean, bad stuff happens in every country. And, I would even argue that, particularly the Soviet Union wasn't the most democratic place.
Would you acknowledge Holodomor? Would you acknowledge the Holodomor as a mistake?
I believe a famine happened, but I don't think it was like an evil government conspiracy to kill Ukrainians. I think that there were mistakes made, and there was weather conditions and other stuff like that, but it could have been handled better.
Okay, well, I mean, we disagree there. But even letting go of the historical baggage of communism and capitalism, like, I just fail to see how a communist economy is intrinsically going to make people cooperate more than a capitalist economy. Because you have to understand that there are intrinsic traits to humanity. People have intrinsically selfish goals. People want to own property. People want to further their own self-interest. And just because you change the economy to have collective ownership of means of production, it's not going to stop people from wanting to further their own goals. I
don't get how the greed is any good though. Like, I may not agree with Manuel politically, but I would say that
greed makes us straightforward.
Can I address Tom's point?
Yeah.
I don't think that humans are inherently bad or evil or greedy or want to exploit others. I mean, I think that the point of one of the biggest tenets of communism, like Che Guevara called the theory the new man. We have to change the people and educate the people before, you establish a society like that, and you have to teach people and explain to people and debate with people and struggle with people and teach them.
Well, you see, the thing is, like, I think that mentality of, like, having to change the mentality, that really is behind a lot of the social justice degeneracy that we see today.
Yeah.
It's this idea that the human psyche is malleable, and if you just sort of imply the right conditioning, you can make the human psyche into whatever you want it to be. But that's not true.
No.
I mean, this hasn't arisen with bad social standards. I mean, we had greed in pre-civilization societies. By just improving your living standards, kind of a greed, or farming more land, or hunting more animals.
I actually don't agree with like a lot of the Marxist conceptions. I don't agree with having to change people themselves, but I don't deny that human nature is an aspect with people. I mean, I don't take it as far as capitalists do and say we're all inherently greedy and evil, and capitalism is
Okay.
great.
I got something to say.
Manuel, hold on.
Okay,
Manuel.
well, let me just add one more
I haven't
point.
got to speak for a while. I'll let Tom go. Can I speak after Tom?
Yeah. I'm just going to make a quick point. Even if you don't believe, like, I don't believe that everybody is greedy and selfish. I mean, I'm sure there are some people out there, like, Buddhist monks and, Dominican friars who want to give their lives up and serve other people and live a life of poverty. I mean, obviously there are some people out there like that, but there are many people out there who are intrinsically greedy, who are intrinsically selfish, and I know many people in my personal life like that. And
Exactly, and we should support it. We should ask for a system, fight for a system that encourages the best in humanity, not the worst. Not exploitation and bitches and hoes and prostitution and greed and usury and exploitation. We should fight for a society that encourages the best in humans. There are parts of human nature that are really evil. Like, was it Aristotle or Plato who thought of the idea of the chariot with the horses pulling it, like representing the spirit?
I think that was Plato.
Oh, it was Plato? Yeah, I mean, human nature is something, and I mean, think about it. We have been conditioned for a long time living under these sorts of capitalist systems and before that, feudalism. But I think that I don't see what's wrong with cleaning the slate and building a society that's built on elevating the best of human nature and trying our hardest not to just, have some phony donate to this society capitalist solution, but actually helping and educating and cooperating with people one-to-one.
Well, I mean, we're just going to have to agree to disagree, because I believe that capitalism, at least a capitalism with some regulations, is the best way to achieve that. Anyway,
Okay.
I'll let Walter speak.
Okay, my solution, basically, I'm kind of looking at both of you just like, nah. I'm like, nah, because capitalism, there's many negatives to our society. There's a lot of greed, just like, I want this, I have to have this because some guy on the TV told me so, or some dumb... I'm like, fuck. There's some really messed up things inside, like the degeneracy. There's a lot of problems with this, and if you criticize any of that degeneracy, people will just attack you like you're bad because you don't want to allow these people to do what they want because you're stupid religion or you're dumb this or... But I really don't think communism is going to help anymore. It really depends.
So you think?
Well, I'm sitting up the middle between.
Sorry, Alfred. Let me just ask Delta a question.
Okay.
So you think that you think that, like, rather than communism or capitalism, you think that fascism is the best way to bring people together and create. So
there's things that we just can't change. So there's there's differences in society that trying to completely scrap and going, this is all a construct and we just need to, everyone's the same. It's like, no, there are differences between people, classes, races, and I'm not just saying I'm not saying we should treat other races badly here in America, but I'm saying,
no.
I'm like, that's awful. I'm like, I see all these white nationalists. I'm like, this doesn't work in the United States. We don't have an identified race.
Delta, remember all those racist-ass idiots in the comment section of Here Real Nowhere Man's video when he re-uploaded our live stream?
Oh, yeah, I remember that. And, like, those people are freaking stupid. They're like, oh, my white race, oh, white country. I'm like, yeah, we got a lot of white settlers who came here, like, 200, 300, 400 years ago. But the times have changed, though. You can't just go, oh, we have to have a totally white nation. It's not going to work like that.
It's 2016.
Agreed. But to be fair, though, prior to the 1960s, only white people could become citizens.
Oh, yeah, of course.
There are some exceptions, but like President Coolidge, when Coolidge was in power, he actually signed a bill that prohibited immigration from Asian countries and Africa.
Okay, but you know why? Sorry, Brandon. You know why the 1925 immigration law was passed, though, right? It was because there were a lot of like Jewish and Italian Marxists coming over who were blowing shit up, especially in New York. The Wall Street bombings. And so there was a real concern, much like there is today, mind you.
Revolutionary terrorists and stuff.
Yeah. There was a real concern that these foreign infiltrators were coming over and they were going to disrupt the social cohesion of the United States. And it was in the best interest of the society to get rid of it.
I did not know that, honestly. I thought it was just white.
Yeah, I can assure you that Calvin Coolidge was not a white nationalist.
Okay. I mean, most people back then were, but whatever.
Well, I actually don't know about that. I wouldn't say that they were white nationalists. I would say that they were, well, I mean...
Maybe just like prejudice or something, or like...
You have to think, though, back then, I mean...
It was a different time back then.
Prejudice was built into society. I mean, for fuck's sake, even Karl Marx was like an anti-Semite, personally.
Yeah, even
I
though he
mean,
was a
Jew.
when you got Karl Marx calling people Jewish niggers, I mean, it was pretty standard in the day.
And also, actually, it was a letter that he actually wrote talk about the Mexican-American War. He says that the Mexicans deserve to lose their land because they're inferior.
And lazy.
No. I actually know what you're talking about. Marx didn't say that. He said that he was fine with because he wanted capitalism to impact
Sorry, Manuel, you're cutting out a bit.
the development of capitalism.
You cut out a bit. Say that
Okay.
again.
Yeah, Manuel, you cut out for a bit. Can you just repeat that real quick?
All right. Marx didn't say that he said that would happen because Mexicans deserve to lose. He wanted private property and capitalism to expand quicker and quicker, and I mean, so capital would spread itself around the continent of America as fast as it could, which is what he believed would lead to an inevitable communist revolution. As we know, revolution isn't inevitable. That's something Marx got wrong. I mean,
Manuel,
there's no guarantee.
let me just ask you a question based on a comment that you
back.
made in some video recently. What do you think about Hegelian dialectics?
Dialectics is a bunch of nonsense, basically.
So you don't think that that history is made by the thesis and the antithesis coming together to create a synthesis and all that jazz? So do you reject historicism in general, or?
I disagree with dialectical materialism as a philosophy, but I don't disagree with historical materialism, because historical materialism is just a Marxist analysis of history. Dialectics is a weird,
Manuel, you're cutting out.
Yeah, Manuel,
Cutting out,
you're
bro.
cutting out again, Manuel.
dialectics, I don't disagree with materialist analysis of history, because that's just Marxist. But dialectical materialism is a really weird, mystical science that supposedly encompasses the whole world and all
Again.
spring out of that reality. It's just really weird. For example, it's really unscientific. What is science supposed to do? It's supposed to explain, and it's supposed to predict. Dialectics is neither of those. Dialectics can't predict, because the prediction in dialectics is stuff happens. Contradictions happen. Well, okay. And the explanation is just, you can explain everything Marx talked about without dialectics. Class struggle happens. It doesn't happen because of a dialectical force. Class struggle happens because of contradictions between ownership and production and exploitation and theft, and, it's not... You can look at it from a materialist perspective and understand it without needing the Hegelian baggage.
Well,
the Communist Party USA?
Let me just... Can I just recommend... I want to recommend you some reading material for stuff. You should read a book called The Open Society and Its Enemies by Karl Popper. He addresses Karl Marx and specifically dialectical materialism and his historicism, and he talks about why he doesn't...
I actually know what you're talking about. Karl Popper said that Marx was like a pseudoscience because anything that's outside of it is considered wrong, right?
Well, he basically said that any sort of historicism was wrong because human beings, we create our own destiny. We're not subject to some sort of dialectics that are just playing out, and that we're destined to conflict with other ideologies, essentially.
No, Karl Popper is right when he attacks the whole dialectical view of stuff like classes being theses and antitheses, and the synthesis of revolution. He's totally right. But what he's wrong about is he doesn't acknowledge that Marxism is a science. It has to evolve. Marxism is constantly updated to meet the conditions of the society it's in. I mean, we don't live in 1917 anymore. We live in 2016. I mean, we live in a globalized capitalist system. Imperialism functions differently. Economics functions differently. Everything functions differently than it was in Lenin's time or Mao's time or Marx's time.
Well, I would argue that we really don't even have imperialism anymore.
Most imperialism isn't like direct. It's just, you probably heard it before. It's neocolonialism and whatever, proxy wars and
Proxy
but
wars.
most of that stuff doesn't even exist anymore. Like, you have the few examples of Syria and Ukraine, but global capital itself is kind of just the big force
Now
in
it's
the
the
world.
globalist
It's not,
system. Now it's just
yeah.
the globalist
I mean,
system now.
finance capital overthrew productive capital in a revolution itself, inside of capitalism. I mean, that's one phenomena that Marxists don't understand. They fetishize, like, production as the main source of exploitation, but they don't really understand that, sure, you might have a national factory owner, but there's bankers that, you know, have no ties to anybody and make billions.
Well, yeah, I agree with you. It's not all about production, like means of production anymore. It's about
Bankers are echoing.
Yeah, well, yeah, because one of the reasons why China is able to exploit so many countries with trade is because they keep their currency artificially low, and so it's very advantageous for many people to offshore jobs over to China, get China to produce their goods, and then buy it back at a very cheap rate rather than producing it in their home countries. And I think that that's if I was a Marxist, which I'm not, I would say that that's a much bigger concern than like the factory owner, you know, like exploiting the factory worker and, you know, paying him an unfair wage.
Like, production is even moving out of China now to even poorer areas of the world.
Yeah.
Because of just the quest. I mean, libertarians would say it's because, you know, the government pushes them out with taxes and whatever.
Fucking government and taxes.
From the Marxist view, it's the quest for more and more profits and fighting the falling rate of profit. And it's just capital expanding as much as it wants and as far as it can. It has to, or else it'll collapse.
I think you're misinterpreting their argument. Their argument is that, I mean, yes, they're trying to drive.
Sorry, Brandon. Who are you talking to? Me?
Manuel. I'm talking to Manuel. The argument isn't that, okay, libertarians aren't denying that capitalists are seeking profit, which is one reason why they're going to third world countries to exploit people. However, you're missing the point entirely. They're saying that the profits that could be made in the United States and elsewhere are being heavily taxed.
That's exactly what I said. I mean, they view that like the government is driving them out with taxation and regulation.
Well, they are.
Over-regulation.
I'm saying both of you are right.
Oh, God.
Libertarians and...
Can I just...
Lewis, shut your fucking...
Let Alfred speak.
Because I wanted to give my opinion to the two subjects we had before, and then I just wanted to make my point about that. You know, I'm kind of in the middle between, you know, Vlad and Manuel, because I'm not for, you know, a complete deregulated or mostly deregulated market, but also not for you know, total communal control. And I think that, you know, such a, so to say, totalitarian system in quotation marks, when it comes to going just into one direction and being very fundamental, isn't really promoting the best sides of human nature. I mean, you know, communist ideal has promoted dictatorships, not in the sense of class rule, but rather, you know, we kill people because they're opposed to our ideal of a perfect world. And on the other hand, we have the free market, where, you know, a very social Darwinian view can be promoted, that, you know, the weak die out. So I think that the thing that the society and the form of ideology that strives toward a better society must be found in the middle between the two. And on the other hand, before we can discuss that, I think historicism is needed, because there are certain historical trends. I mean, you can't just say we have
Yeah,
Versailles
groups
now.
exist in history. I mean, races as groups exist, classes exist. I mean,
Exactly. I mean, we can't just say, oh, now we have the Treaty of Versailles, but, you know, it's not like Europe will plunge into another war because every person in Europe decides her or his own fate. That isn't working. That is over-individualist.
Hyper
I have to
individualism.
go. See you guys. I'm being called by somebody else. Have a good night. And
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You too.
Okay, see you, man.
Very well.
To switch the topic,
Now we're back to our hug box XD.
Yay. Yeah, this is going to be the best part. Okay. Ethan, didn't you have any other questions for me?
not really. I mean, I just want to start talking about random stuff now, like,
Yeah.
I'm hoping that Tom has one of those questions where he asks us what is our thoughts on this or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I have a couple questions like that. So first of all, did any of you guys watch the town hall last night with Trump, Kasich, and Bush?
No.
No.
That was in my city.
Yeah,
I saw that. I remember Jeb Bush and Donald Trump were literally fighting. We're literally arguing.
Well, no, they weren't arguing with each other. It was a town hall, so they were just being interviewed by Anderson Cooper.
Wait a minute. Did you guys see the debate that went on in Greenville, South Carolina?
Yeah, I saw that. That's the one that I'm talking
I live there.
about.
I live right up the street from where that debate happened. But I couldn't attend because it was like 48,000 people tried to get into the whole building, so I couldn't attend even though I'm right up the street. It sucks.
Darn. All right, what do you guys think of? Do you know that the YouTuber named Roosh?
9.
Oh yes,
No?
I have.
Yeah, I know that guy.
Yes.
The Middle Eastern rapist who was active in the white nationalist movement.
Yeah, what do you guys think of him?
Yeah,
Asshole.
Isn't Roosh a pickup artist who said that the best way to end rape was to legalize it on private property so women will know how to dress
And he's
properly?
friends with Richard Spencer, but I don't have high expectations of Richard Spencer since he called, you know, ethno-nationalism hatred of other people, so, you know, I'm
What's your
bad
thoughts on
writing
the proposal?
thing,
I have a short question for you. Don't you think what if that was implemented? This idea of legalizing rape on private property. Like, do you actually think that would decrease rape? Because women would have to cover up and make sure that they know their place. Don't you think? What's your position?
Brandon, the thing you have to understand about that was that the article that he wrote about legalizing rape on private property, that was a thought experiment. I don't think he was
satire.
actually. He wasn't satire. He wasn't actually advocating for rape on private property. He was just saying, what if we had rape on private property? What would be the social implications of that? He wasn't actually saying that we should legalize rape on private property.
Okay.
But his argument was basically just like, if we had rape on private property, then women would have more compulsion to. They would have more obligation to take precautions, not to put themselves in positions where they could be raped.
But he still
evil white
admitted a
evil
few
men.
times that he raped a girl. I mean, he
men.
actually did.
Teach me not to rape.
Aside from the
Bullshit.
Sorry, Alfred, speak.
Go.
But a few times he actually admitted that he raped a girl. You know, that he stripped off her clothes on Twitter, actually.
I'm not saying that I'm a fan of the guy, but I think he gets a lot of bad press. I mean, didn't he put out a tweet recently where he said like he's like the alt-right are trying to protect the sanctity of women, but he's trying to just like have sex with them all, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, I really can't condone that kind of like hedonistic and self-indulgent behavior, but I think that he has like some of the articles on his website are very useful to some young men, but only if you're trying to use them to, you know, find a spouse, not if you're just trying to like, you know, sport fuck people for hedonism.
Filthy heathens.
I think that like Roosh's whole camp of like pickup artistry is really a symptom of like feminism and degeneracy in our time.
Yeah,
Because
There's too much.
if we didn't have such prevalence of like feminism and like my body, my rules kind of shit, then we wouldn't really
it's
have
the male
this.
counter-reaction to
Tom.
third wave feminism.
Well, Tom,
That's what it is.
But-
Delta?
here's the thing. There's two different sects of feminism. You have sex positive and sex negative. You have two different entire groups. Once you're sex positive, like, my body, my rules. Therefore, you get all this degeneracy, and you get a bunch
But then
of...
you're like, you have these feminists who say all sex is rape because society says that if you don't get laid, then you're weak. But if you do get laid, well, chances that you're doing it just so your partner can stay with you. So all sex is coercive, and in our society, all sex is rape. So so sex should be illegal. That's sex negative feminism.
Like in you, Sarkeesian, you see all this stuff in game. Oh, freaking, she's being oppressed.
No. She's sex
Retarded.
positive.
That's like the Valerie Solanas and Andrea Dworkin camp of feminism, where they think that like every kind of heterosexual sex is just a form of rape. It's ridiculous.
Fucking retarded.
And Donald Trump and Jeb Bush.
So sorry, repeat that, Luis.
You know that you were George Jeb Bush.
Louis, you're cutting off.
Luis, you're echoing a bit.
You're echoing!
Can you-
No, man. Do you have the stream open?
If you do, close it.
Yeah, he'll come back.
Yeah.
Anyway,
On the feminism again.
yeah. Do you guys want to talk about? Do you have anything to add about feminism, or can we move on?
Shit, we just need...
No, we don't need in our society.
It's ass.
When I was a far left social justice warrior, I
Okay,
actually
All right.
Louis,
Let Luis speak. He was on.
What argument did you were talking about Jeb Bush arguing with with Donald Trump?
I'm not sure what you're referring to.
Oh, you were talking about it was an argument with Donald Trump and Jeb Bush.
Well, they've argued about a lot of things. I think
You were talking about it earlier.
I'm not sure what you're referring to.
Yeah, the debate is somewhere here online. You could always see it.
Send me the link.
I'll find it later. Hold up.
No, they were actually actual argument you were talking about.
We're talking about feminism right now, but... Okay.
In an interview, they were arguing.
Oh no, that was something else. I thought Tom was talking about the debate, but that was just another interview from yesterday. So that's something else.
Yeah, Luis, what are your thoughts on feminism?
I think there's two types of feminism.
Yeah, we already said that.
Well, let Luis finish.
There's two types. I would support classical feminism, meaning that women should have the right to own property, vote, and do what men do. But I'm no supporter of the freaking cultural Marxist feminism that argues against imaginary wage gaps and that freaking
Conspiracy. Fucking conspiracy. I made a video about feminism. I was saying.
The kind of feminists that talk about killing all white men.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure most of the feminists of this day and age don't just want the right to vote and want the right to own property. They're pretty much like the purple-haired, crazy types.
Now, Louis, I was gonna talk about that one point you brought up.
I was called a sexist by a feminist at my school because I believe that voting should be based on merits. You know, it should be like a measure of intelligence and responsibility or something like that before you can vote. Kind of like in Rhodesia. And and this feminist said I was sexist because most women are unintelligent, so they wouldn't be allowed to vote.
Well, let me.
I would question the institution of voting itself.
I mean,
democracy.
The vote should be based on how much property you own.
Yeah, I agree with that to an extent. I agree.
Because
I agree with that.
people with no property really have no stake in the economy or in the political process, and they will just vote en masse to appropriate the property from the haves and take.
Yeah.
to expropriate it to the have-nots.
Yeah, like here's what I would like to implement a policy where I wouldn't mind barring. I'm hearing an echo. Ethan, that's from you. I don't mind barring people who do not own land from voting, but there's one exception, and that is people who are highly intelligent. I believe that highly intelligent people, regardless if they own land or not, should be allowed to vote as well. So we basically have intelligent and responsible people, a mixture of the two, being in charge of the government.
Okay, Brandon. There are many different types of intelligence.
I'm talking about intelligence as a whole, like IQ.
Okay, but
intelligence.
there are people with very high, let's say, verbal IQ scores who you probably wouldn't want to vote. There are many people who are very
politically intelligent. What about like politically intelligent? Like they know a lot about politics.
John F. Kennedy had an IQ of 165. That's the kind of IQ I'm talking about.
Okay, but John F. Kennedy was very entrenched in the political process. I mean, he came from a very political family. He was in the army. He was a congressman for a while. So, but I mean, like, I don't think that like passing an IQ test should just be the basis for being able to vote, because there are many people who are very intelligent. Like, let's say, like they have very high aptitude in mathematics or language, but they're not the sort of people that you would want to participate in the political process.
Yeah, and did you know that Thomas Jefferson actually had autism? There's actual evidence of that.
But I don't think disability really plays a role in the intelligence, because I've seen a lot of autistic people who are smart.
Yeah, I've asked for that.
We have many presidents that suffer from autism, man. Thomas Jefferson is one of them.
Probably.
Yeah, I mean, contrary to popular belief, I can understand why people would compare autism to retardation, because I really see little to no distinction between people with severe autism and people with intellectual disability. I really see little to no difference, but if you can point out the difference, then go right ahead. But with like high-functioning autism, people with high-functioning autism like me can be really intelligent people. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Until I am not intellectually disabled, I am perfectly capable of having rational conversations with people. So I'm not just antisocial moron.
Brandon.
I'm just a old school neurotypical individual.
Yeah.
Technically, I'm considered as autistic because of Asperger's and.
Oh, sorry guys, my internet got disconnected.
Yeah, but like, I'm just saying that like, before we continue, can someone explain the difference between intellectual disability or retardation and severe autism?
Sorry,
autism sounds better.
Alfred.
Retardation is too mean.
Like, does anyone know the difference between severe autism and mental retardation? Because they both seem exactly the same to me.
There are very high-functioning autistic people out there.
No, I'm talking about low functioning. I'm talking about very low functioning, severe autism.
Well,
when compared to mental retardation, what's the difference between mental retardation and low functioning autism?
Yeah, but at the same time.
No, Lewis!
Well, I mean, like mental retardation just means that you're below a certain IQ level. I mean, you can be below a certain IQ level and not have autism, though.
Okay, what's severe autism?
Well, severe autism is a mental condition. Autism might mean that you're below a certain IQ threshold, but like you can be below a certain IQ threshold without having autism, right?
Yeah.
It's sort of like saying that you can be terminally ill without sorry.
I mean,
you can be terminally ill while not having cancer, but I'm
talking about mental retardation in the sense that you have a low IQ and your mental state does not allow you to develop a higher IQ than you could have. I mean, I'm not saying that.
But there are many reasons for having a low IQ. Like you can have like Down syndrome or Cruzon syndrome or microcephaly.
I'm talking about the mental disorders.
Something like Down syndrome or some shit.
I'm talking about stuff like Down syndrome. Like, what would be the difference between severe autism and Down syndrome?
Well, those are two different syndromes. It's like, what's the difference between cancer and Parkinson's disease?
True.
You can't.
To move this to move the topic, so we could like get out of this like disease or disability kind
You
of
ever think like we're messed up? People could be like, "You ableist scum! How dare you!"
like I was like, Pinochet. So you know how a lot of leftists like to say that because Allende was elected, therefore his actions in ruining Chile was justified. The thing is, the guy was not even elected by the people. He was elected by Congress.
Well, no, he won by coalition.
Yeah, it was a coalition victory.
Allende's party teamed up with some other leftist party, and they got the majority of the votes. But it wasn't Allende that got the majority of the votes; it was the coalition.
Yeah, exactly.
And also, like, let's dispel this idea that just because you're democratically elected, then that means that you have the authority to rule. That's not true at all. I mean,
Robert Mugabe was elected. Was he or no?
I don't think so. He seized power with ZANU and ZAPU by force.
Nelson Mandela was
Fulgencio
democratically
Batista
elected.
was elected.
Well, yeah. There were many dictators.
What, Batista? Batista?
There were many brutal dictators throughout history who were.
Oh, the Führer was elected too. You forgot that.
Hitler was arguably elected by the people. Not an argument. Plus, democracy is a very flawed system, just like any political system. A dictatorship that's ran. I mean, even a dictatorship could work very well if it's ran by a benevolent dictator. Take, for example, Augustus, who started the Roman Empire. He was a benevolent dictator. He did a lot of good for the Roman Empire. In fact, his people absolutely loved him during his 41 years of stewardship. So a dictatorship could actually work very well. And even in modern day times, dictatorships have worked very well.
Especially for Arab countries.
Yeah.
Franco's Spain did a lot of good. Franco's Spain did a lot of good.
I mean, I think overthrowing Saddam and Gaddafi was a mistake, just like I don't think overthrowing Assad.
Oh, come on. Saddam was like, he kept Iraq perfectly stable, but he was pretty nuts. He gassed the Kurds for
Well,
like.
you need a kind of guy for that region. I mean, you're not gonna hold these people there in a stable situation without these kind of guys. I mean, he gassed the Kurds, religion war now, but kind of was needed.
I mean, it's better to have Saddam than ISIS.
Yeah, I would much rather live under like a Pinochet or a Suharto than like a Castro or an Allende.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. So if we were to use a leftist logic,
wait, can I speak, Ethan?
Yeah. Let Luis speak real quick, and then right away.
Batista, when he was first elected, he was strongly supported by the Democratic Social. Because before Batista, I believe it was already a dictatorship, and to make it a democracy again, he was elected. So he was strongly supported by Social Democrat. That's a fact that probably James would like to hear about.
Yeah, notice that when leftists apologize for Allende, they never point to like how Allende made things greater for his people or anything like that, because obviously he didn't. He made the Chilean people miserable.
Massive inflation and food shortages.
By pretty much any standard that one can use, Allende was much worse than Pinochet. When the leftists apologize for Allende, they talk about how he was democratically elected, how Pinochet was evil, how he killed all these people.
Misogyny
with dogs and rats.
Yeah. They use all this like Soviet propaganda about how like Pinochet used like dogs and rats to rape people, how he threw people out of helicopters and all that. But honestly, sometimes you have to break a few eggs to make an omelet. Sometimes you have to get rid of the communists. You have to purge the country of degeneracy in order to make a strong state, in order to pave the way for a strong society.
In many cases, the ends justify the means. Like, sure, Pinochet did a lot of horrible things. He did, in fact, allow soldiers to rape communist females, which is arguably...
How do you even rape people with rats?
He put them inside their pussies.
No,
oh my god. Freaking conspiracy. What do you think?
No, this is actually recorded.
Hold on.
Well, actually, rat torture goes back to medieval times. What they would do is they would put rats on somebody's body. They would put like a glass case over the rat, and then they would put like a candle on top of the glass case. And when the rats feel the heat from above, it gives them the instinct to burrow in. So they would like burrow into somebody's skin or into the vagina or
The
something.
Bolsheviks did that to all the Russian Christians.
I'm sure they
Crawling
did.
in my skin.
Yeah, crawling in my skin.
So I was saying earlier before Luis started talking, like, so you know how they use that logic that because that Pinochet's a fascist and that because he overthrew a democratically elected government. So by their logic, Fidel Castro was a fascist and and Batista was a democracy because Batista was elected.
Yeah.
By their logic.
To move the topic, what's your thoughts on eugenics?
That's a complicated topic.
You ever heard of this racial realist dude named the Libertarian Realist?
Oh yeah, I'm subscribed to him. I like his videos.
Okay. He proposed a voluntary eugenics program, or like eugenics.
Yeah. He said that if you get welfare, you have to be sterilized, right?
Yeah, or if you committed a crime in your prison, you can get your prison sentence reduced to some degree or another if you agree to be sterilized.
Wow.
I'm not sure about that. I think that, to be honest, I think a lot of the dysgenics we see in our society is the result of wealth redistribution. I think that if you get rid of things like welfare schemes and
I do believe
yeah.
Policies.
Sorry, repeat yourself. You cut out there.
Like, I do believe in some eugenics programs, a lot of which are voluntary, but some I believe are necessary. But I'm just going to list some of them. I've written them down. One would be like a campaign to encourage sex workers to become sterilized. Another one that I personally would favor is where, in order for foreigners to become Americans, they would have to be sterilized just in case they just want to breed children or make incubabies, so to speak. I'm kind of messing here, but that's just one thing I like to see. Reduce prison for prisoners who agree to be sterilized in exchange. Outlaw abortions after the first.
Hey, Soldier.
Yeah, hey, Soldier. How's it going?
Hey.
Yeah, sorry I'm late. Wasn't feeling
No
well.
worries.
Darn it, Donnie, you're always late.
Had a headache.
We're just talking about sorry. We're just talking about eugenics now.
Okay, so
Okay.
I'm going to give you last two examples of eugenics that I like to use. One is where, in order for someone to raise a child, not necessarily reproduce the child, but to raise a child, keep it in your home, feed it, and whatnot, you would have to pass a financial and psychological test in order for you to raise the child or be proven to be a potential good parent, so to speak. So
No,
you have to have a decent income.
I don't like that
No.
idea because it would be subject to abuse by the state. You would have these ideological zealots trying to co-opt these programs for their own personal interest. They would try to make parents conform to certain like ideological expectations, certain like other expectations in order to have kids, and I think that that's just downright absurd. I think that we should let let me finish. We should let people breed. I don't think that the state should be sterilizing anybody, but I believe that the best way to fight against dysgenics is to get rid of the welfare state, is to get rid of large-scale wealth redistribution, to cut off more money for them programs, and just generally to have like a meritocracy. So you allow the people with the highest wealth to have the most kids, and that would promote eugenics without any sort of state interference. And
I mean, but there, one last thing, though, that I do believe should be justified is this. People with inheritable, spreadable, and hereditary disorders and diseases such as AIDS, HIV, and whatnot, I do believe that people like that should be sterilized to prevent breeding children with these disorders and illnesses. Like,
No.
There's really no point of giving birth to a child with AIDS.
I don't even agree with that actually, because who's to say what is an inheritable disability or not? I mean, obviously there are some
obvious.
inheritable disabilities like malignant hyperthermia or AIDS, things like that, or crack addiction. But I don't think that the state has any business sterilizing people or telling people who can breed and who cannot breed. I don't like that idea at all.
I respectfully disagree with you, but
I think that in a healthy sexual marketplace, people who have obvious inheritable disabilities will have less reproductive success and will have fewer opportunities to pass on their genes through their offspring. It's just nature. I think that whether you have state laws that sterilize people or control who can breed or not, you would have like natural laws that prevent these inherited disabilities from manifesting themselves en masse in society. You don't need to go around sterilizing people for that.
Yeah, that kind of sounds like leftist dildo, to be honest.
Sorry
But, like, should poor families get welfare though? Like people with mental disorders and
I don't think anybody should be getting welfare. I think the welfare state should be just cut off completely.
okay, so
We should not be subsidizing people's failure.
Support it. Just
Hey,
trust
Alfred, if Donald Trump is...
guys, what? Really, guys? Okay.
Come on, Louis. Come on, everyone.
One last thing. What would you do with someone, for example, like a mentally retarded person who doesn't have a really good education? Because, to be perfectly honest, trying to give a lot of mentally retarded people who are just going to make random choices in Class A high education is really not worth it. But regardless of that personal sense of mind that leftists am ableist for, what would you do with mentally retarded people who cannot find a job and they're alone? Should they just starve to death, or should we like maybe put them in work camps or something so they'll be worth?
I think that they should be. I think that in a free economy, there would be private charities to take care of people like that, or in a healthy society, you would have religious institutions that would take care of people like that. All right. Anyway, to get off this topic for a bit, hey, Soul-Drift7, how's it going?
Hey.
Sorry about that, Tom. I went down the wrong throat, and I was just like,
Hey, Lewis.
they're gonna kickstart.
Hey, Lewis. Remember nation states yesterday and today?
Oh God, this has nothing to do with shitposting. Wait
I'm just what Lewis.
All right. We'll get back to you, Brandon. But I just want to talk to Soul-Drift for a second. What's on your mind, man?
What's on my mind?
Did you watch the town hall with Anderson Cooper and Donald Trump and Bush the other day?
I heard about it, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't see everything.
Did you watch it?
I just saw some clips.
Like, can you send me a clip in the link? Because I haven't seen it, the town hall thing.
Well, I mean, I'm sure you can find it on YouTube. Just Google town hall February 28th. Sorry, February 18th. Have you been following the elections at all, Soul-Drift?
Yeah, but I wasn't keeping it, but not for the last couple of days, though. I've just been watching, like, a few clips every now and then. Other than that, I haven't been paying too much attention.
Do any of you guys watch the show Better Call Saul?
I've heard of it.
I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
It's pretty good. The new episode 1 of season 2 came out on Monday. You guys should check it out.
By the way,
Town hall what?
Better Call Saul.
Yeah, it's a spin-off of the show Breaking Bad.
Yeah, I don't watch a lot of TV.
Yeah.
Saw Deadpool the other day.
nice.
Was it good?
Yeah, it was okay up until the ending.
Hmm.
The ending was kind of lame.
Apparently in the Deadpool movie, Deadpool jacks off to a unicorn.
Yeah, you saw the credits.
That's degenerate shit. Never mind that movie then.
Nah, it was funny. I liked it. It was entertaining. I just didn't like the ending. I thought the end was.
That sounds degenerate as shit. That sounds like a really degenerate ending.
Okay, but to be fair, Delta, there are a lot of degenerate movies that are very entertaining. Have you guys seen the movie Boogie Nights with Mark Wahlberg?
Yeah, with Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah, I've seen that.
That's a great movie, but it's degenerate as fuck.
Hey guys,
Nope.
Yeah, I love that movie.
I like the movie Olds.
Can I
You ever
go
seen that movie?
Lewis, remember when you sent me that movie about Caligula?
Yeah.
You know, it was. Did you guys hear about that? This so-called biography of Caligula's life.
Sorry.
It was a 1979 movie. It was supposed to be like an absolute power corrupts absolutely kind of film about Caligula, the Roman emperor. But a lot of people hijacked the film and it turned into a huge porn film with some historical references here and there. Did you guys see that movie?
Yeah, I actually did see that movie. That was
Yeah, the one with Michael
Malcolm
McDowell.
McDowell, right?
You
Yeah.
ever seen anyone ever seen the movie Beer Fest?
I mean,
No, I haven't seen that one yet.
you saw that movie?
Got my fishes. Oh.
Maybe the same people.
Hey,
that
hey,
Super Troopers.
it's the White Devils trying to take over Africa.
No, actually, it's China that's doing that now.
No, it's the White Devils.
We must exterminate the white devils.
That's SJW's literally.
White devils. Around the borders of Europe.
Do it again. Like pretend to be like a racist African like Mugabe.
I'll do it. I'll do it in a bit, man. That voice really hurts my throat.
Oh, you should do a video period of that.
I can imagine.
White
Make
devils.
it, you should do a period on that with the Finnish
I'm actually thinking of doing like a fake PSA, like a public service announcement with George Soros and John Green, where it's like a refugee rape survival guide, where it's like, you know, these are the rules you have to follow in order not to get raped by the new vibrant migrants and stuff.
We should make a fake nation state, like a fake country called Tomistan or something, Mechanicstan. Parodying Tommy McCannon.
Yeah, I can see that.
There's some dumb people who freaking like is it Justin Trudeau, Bernie, and I'm like, you gotta be freaking serious. These people are ass.
Bernie Sanders.
That is Ancom, I know. He's all for. He's like, he likes people like Trudeau, Sanders, and Corbyn. It's like, the fuck.
Man, Trudeau has just been a disaster.
Well.
I know you guys.
But Tom, Trudeau's right wing.
Yeah. Didn't Social Democrats said that? I couldn't believe it. Like that's insane. Like how is he right wing? I just don't get that.
I don't get that's dumb.
Yeah, the guy who wants to open up the borders of Canada.
Hey Tom, would it be justifiable if
Louis!
Let Louis speak.
Would it be justifiable if Donald Trump became president and then Trudeau got all pissed off and then Donald Trump declared war on Canada and occupy it, and now you're ruled by Donald Trump? What would you feel like?
To be honest, Louis, if Donald Trump becomes president, I'm gonna seriously consider moving to the United States. Okay. Even though I love Canada, I love living here, I love the people here, but
You love all the progressiveness.
but yeah, like no, I don't love the progressiveness. I love the heritage of this country. I love everything about this country except the politics. But if Donald Trump becomes president, I can't justify living here anymore. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry
Just don't bring up.
for my Canadian viewers.
It's best to not bring up the history between the two of
Ethan,
us.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. Okay, remember how you had that little live stream about Steve Chavez getting hijacked by Bolsheviks? How would you guys feel about looking over Steve Chavez 5 stupid things about Islamophobia?
Oh, the 5 things by Islamophobics. All the leftists jacked it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was attacked by a bunch of Bolsheviks.
Scumbags.
Augustus, would you like to review it very quickly on this live stream? It's like a 2-minute video.
Has anybody heard about the bombing in
Is that a
Turkey?
Canadian stereotype? Because I watched the
Oh
show.
yeah, the
I watched
crash
the show.
bombing in
I
Ankara.
watched this like TV show, American TV
Some
show, and
people
they
say
were
it
making fun
might
of
be
Canada.
okay.
And there was a history teacher from Canada that says, "Today we're gonna learn about the War of 1812," and they always talk about it like how the Texans like to talk about the Alamo. Is that like true? Like even though they won.
I don't know. Really, nobody won that war.
Augustus, how would you feel about us looking over Steve Chavez's video in this live stream?
Chavez Shives.
Sorry. Repeat that again.
How would you feel about us looking over Steve Shives' video in this live stream very quickly?
How long is the video?
2 minutes.
Yeah, fine. Put it on.
Okay, Ethan, let's do it.
Send me the link because I can't find that video.
Okay.
Oh, I was thinking about. I was thinking about making a video to Steve Shives before, but I noticed that he always files copyright claims against people who use his footage and their videos. But
Not really. Star God has videos up, and so does he.
okay, yeah, I think it should be okay. But yeah, okay, yeah, just throw it up.
Okay, it's in the chat.
Tom, I got a quick question.
Shoot.
Okay.
If Bernie Sanders becomes president, could we trade? I mean, as much as Justin Trudeau doesn't seem like a successful prime minister, even though I don't think he will be, I would think I'd rather have him in control of our country than Bernie Sanders. So if Bernie Sanders becomes president, is it okay if we trade?
Dude, I wouldn't even worry about that. America is not going to elect a socialist/communist as their president, man.
Well, here's the thing.
We gotta worry.
In the 1920s.
If Hillary Clinton got elected, I would commit suicide probably.
Okay,
Yeah,
but
Clinton's more likely because, oh, look, she's got tits. Let's vote for her.
Here's the thing. Back in the 1920s,
to be honest,
this is pretty interesting. Back in the 1920s,
For each other.
Norman Thomas, a member of the Socialist Party for America back in the 1920s, he once said that the American people would never vote for socialism, but under the name of liberalism, they'll adapt to every suggestion of the socialist cause.
Well, I think that there's still a significant population in the United States who are ideologically opposed to socialism, and they would never vote for anybody who described themselves as being socialist.
Well, I hope so, because there's even people, because we do got leftists here in the United States that look at socialism and they're just like, I'm not really cool with that. You know, I still like capitalism.
Yeah, but to be honest, Soul-Drift, I think that Hillary Clinton will win the nomination because the establishment is just shilling so hard for her.
No, she's got tits and a vagina, and that's a dumb. That's usually.
Hey guys, sorry, my internet got disconnected. I'm gonna restart my computer, and when it's done, it's only gonna take a couple minutes anyway. And when it's done, we could probably go over the video.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, but
right now I'm just on my phone.
Just to continue my point, though, I think that the fact that Hillary Clinton has not been indicted for fraud at this point goes to show that the Democratic Party is just shilling so hard for her that she pretty much has to like say she pretty much if she came out as a Nazi tomorrow, I don't think that would hurt her chances at winning the nomination. To be honest with you.
Even though her husband was similar to one, because he once used to play at a golf course that only allowed whites.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing I find funny is that Hillary Clinton for a while was like talking about how she's a hero to women and she's going to be the first woman president and it's going to be like a historical moment for women. But then Donald Trump came out and said, like, if you advocate for women so much, why don't you call out your husband for all those alleged rapes he committed? And then that just shut her up completely. Like she hasn't pulled that card since then. And I just find that to be hilarious.
Oh, Trump just stumped her right there.
Yeah.
You can't stump the Trump.
You cannot stump the Trump.
I heard the slogan Bernie Sanders uses sounds like a hot sauce. So he says "Feel the burn." It sounds like a hot sauce to me.
Yeah, as crazy as Trump can be, let's face it, he's better than Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders.
Bernie Sanders!
Let's just face it, we may not like everything he says or agree with, but let's face it, he's better than the Democrat candidate.
Family died of Holocaust.
And he's definitely better than Jeb Bush. We don't need another Bush either. We've had 2 Bushes, a Clinton. We've had enough.
Oh my God! Yeah, in the town hall last night with Anderson Cooper, they asked them what he thought about marijuana, and Jeb Bush just went on this really weird rant about how we need to discover the brain, and like he just like said all this really nonsensical shit. Like that man does not know how to respond to a question in public.
You know he's not gonna win because he had to have his brother come down and endorse him.
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't just like pull it out Luger and just pull a Bud Dyer moment on stage and just blow his brains out.
And the stupidest thing is, Okay, go ahead. I'll finish.
Guys, my parents are huge fans of Marco Rubio. What's your thoughts on him?
He's just
Goldman
better
Sachs
than Jeb
owns
Bush and
conservative
Hillary Clinton and Bernie
neocon.
Sanders.
Please,
That's all I'm
Israel,
going to say
save
about
us.
him.
Best ally, greatest ally.
He's part of the Gang of Four, so I'm very
We need
critical
a
of
North
him.
American Union.
yeah.
Omer's been our greatest ally.
Also, there's this form of nationalism. Like, you know how Shingo's a Pan-Africanist?
Yeah, what about it?
We
Well,
will
there's an American equivalent called Pan-Americanism, where it basically seeks to have a unification of Mexico, the United States, and Canada, like the EU, and like the EU, for example, or like Pan-Americanism. That's basically it. What's your thoughts on that?
It's ridiculous.
It's stupid.
I mean, if we were to colonize Canada, like, don't you have different provinces in your country, Vlad?
Yeah, we have 10 provinces and 3 territories.
Like, if I were to colonize Canada, I wouldn't make Canada one big colony. Instead, I would make the 10 provinces new states. So we have 60 states of America.
Okay, this is the thing, though. Say what you want about Canada, but we are, like, most people in Canada are ideologically opposed to the United States and American values. If America declared war on Canada tomorrow, even the most swiftly SJW fucks would fight against it. That's the thing. Like, most people here in America, like, most people here in Canada, we respect Americans. We think of you as, like, our friendly neighbor to the south, but we don't want to become one of you. That's the thing.
Well, you don't really have to, because pretty much any Canadian that wants to be American,
That
they just
sounds
come
like
down
us in
here.
the French, to
Yeah.
be honest.
I know.
And I'm pretty sure that's how it is, like with the Mexicans and the Americans. Like, if America were to invade Mexico, I'm pretty sure even the most the most leftist, degenerate Mexicans would probably fight against it.
We invaded them twice.
Yeah, you guys fought a huge war against them. So
And California revolted. California revolted. Texas revolted, and then.
But you want to know what pisses me off about that war with Mexico? Is that people on the left like to try to say we were bullying them, we were beating around a weak country. Are you freaking kidding me? They had larger numbers than us. What?
Mexico's army was ass, though. They freaking sucked.
It doesn't. Yeah. But we're the bullies? Fuck. One of us were killing 10 of them, and they always brought more numbers.
How come they're and all these Mexicans, we lost so many land.
During the war, their army was much larger than ours, but yet we still kicked their ass.
Yeah, and the land that we gained from the Mexican-American War, that land, according to the Mexicans, they thought it was garbage.
Yeah.
I know that there's a bunch of Mexicans nowadays who want to they want to reclaim the former Mexican territory by.
Oh yeah, those are the brown berets and stuff like that. Those are like the Chicano movement.
That means they want to conquer like Guatemala, El Salvador.
No.
Costa Rica.
I'm talking about the people who want to send like immigrants over the border and just like outbreed the gringos and just take over the conquered territories just by like birth.
Oh, they're never taking back. They're never taking back Texas.
Texans won't deal with that. If they try to do that to California, I'm killing them. Like you're gonna die.
No, Texas will never.
Yeah, they're not gonna fall. They're not bow to shit. Texans don't bow to shit either.
You got there.
That's one reason though I like Texas though. They don't bow to shit.
Yeah, that's the thing. Texans are different than like people in New York or something.
Yeah, that's the thing. If I were to move to the United States, the one place I think the one city that I would like to move to is probably Houston.
Yeah.
Because like it's in Texas, it has like right-wing values, but it also has like I understand that there are no zoning laws in Texas, so like housing prices are very cheap, and there's also no income tax, like no state income tax in Texas.
There's still a lot of Christian references in Texas too. As most Americans are very secular, Texas really hasn't.
I'd recommend San Antonio. It's much more beautiful.
Yeah,
and you don't have to worry about flooding. The one thing I do have to warn you is that Houston gets a lot of flooding, whereas San Antonio, really nothing happens there. It's dry and everything. Which, yeah, it may not sound good, but still, at least you don't have to worry about severe weather most of the time.
Yeah,
Well,
but-
Arizona's got good gun laws, though, Tom, so our gun laws are
that's
pretty
true.
lenient.
Yeah, but I like to fish, so I like to be near a huge body of water.
Well, then okay.
Lake Tahoe, North California. There you go. Northern part of the state.
You ever... Hey, Tom, are you familiar with our state, Louisiana?
Oh yeah,
It's like the American version of Quebec, almost.
yeah.
Well, it's
they-
French,
they were
of course.
actually- The Acadians, they actually came to Louisiana from Nova Scotia.
I heard
Yeah.
you have like an ethnic genocide against French people earlier, and that's why they fled to the Louisiana area.
Yeah.
No. I mean, wasn't Louisiana bought from the French?
Yeah, it was bought from
Yeah,
Napoleon Bonaparte. It's bought from his
Yeah,
own.
that's what I
French.
said.
I have respect for Napoleon, in all honesty, but regardless of that, I kind of Can we shift back to an earlier topic about movies very quickly?
We took Louisiana away from him.
We bought it from. We just went to New Orleans and they just chucked all the land at us. We're like, oh, nice.
Guys, here's a video. Are you ready?
Sure.
But, okay.
Let's watch that.
Let's go.
So
Shoot
I just want to point out, Brandon, your mic is cutting out a lot. Do you want to like unplug and replug your mic?
I'm gonna leave and rejoin.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right, let's watch the video.
All right, I'm back. Is
I'm
my
gonna
mic?
ask you. I was gonna say this: if frickin' some like Red Scare TV tried to start a communist revolution, it really wouldn't go well. Everyone knows
Is my
why.
mic cutting out now?
No, you're fine.
All right, let's go.
All right.
Because he's like,
Right.
oh, revolution's impossible because of racist. No, it's impossible because of Texas.
Guys,
Shut
shut
really
up.
won't deal with it.
Shut up, Delta.
All right,
Log
Ethan,
off, Mace, Brandon.
Ethan, let's watch this.
Let's go.
We can't hear the audio, Ethan.
Your audio's ass.
We can't even hear what you're saying, Ethan. Pause the video, Ethan.
I think he's cutting out.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
Yeah.
Rejoin, faggot.
Yeah. I'm kicking you out and rejoin later. Yeah.
Rejoin, faggot.
That
And
was
I'm
cool.
going to Louisiana Pass.
Okay, so
I've
So-
actually seriously considered doing a Cuckold Chronicles video about Steve Shives, but just because he likes to flag
I'm
videos
back,
and
faggot.
footage, then
okay,
I
Tom,
didn't want to.
Tom, you said you watched the movie Caligula.
Yeah.
Okay, what was your thoughts on it?
Justified.
Parts of it I liked, parts of it I didn't like.
Especially the porn parts, you didn't like the pornography.
So no. Like some of the pornography parts were okay, but some of it it just took it a bit too far. Like
Well, I mean,
found,
but that was our culture back then. It was probably
well, I
that
mean,
was our culture back then.
I mean, I understand that, but
Could you guys hear me?
Yeah,
there was one scene like near the end where it was just like a giant orgy with all these people.
Oh,
Like I could have dealt without that part. I would like to like to have watched like more of a biopic about Caligula rather than just like a softcore or a hardcore pornography about him. You know?
Let's go.
Yeah, let's watch this.
Hey, here are 5 stupid things I've noticed about Islamophobia.
Oh, God.
Name.
Islamophobia.
Islamophobia.
Poorly named.
Does Steve Shives echo?
What?
Does Steve Shives echo?
No.
No, we're just messing with him. I'm just messing around.
Just going.
Probably just an SJW. I don't think.
I don't think he
Wait, what
echoes.
the fuck is this? It says Steve Shives, wussy PC Islam apologist. What the hell? Why is he calling himself that?
What a pussy.
That has become the
Oh,
most
coward.
for the unjustified and irrational fear, hatred and or vilification of Muslims.
Didn't phobia
Used to
just
describe the
mean
double
fear?
standards
Pause
we
the
often
video. Let
use
Alfred speak.
when
Cut.
thinking or
Cut.
talking about Muslims.
Cut, you fool!
Ethan, you fag. Cut.
Cut, you fool! Okay, Alfred, speak.
Didn't phobia just mean fear of something?
Yeah, I
I mean,
think so.
it's kind of like the reason why I stopped calling people homophobes, because yes, there are people who are bigoted against gay people, but it's an irrational fear. Like, I may fear tarantulas being all over my room. But I
Yeah.
don't hate the tarantulas. That's why I don't use words like homophobia, transphobia, or whatnot, because hating gay people is not an irrational fear. It's just you being an asshole. That's I call it anti-gay, not homophobia.
Like, I have a friend who kept saying, like, back in high school, he kept saying he was grudge phobic because he was scared of when he saw the movie The Grudge, he got scared. Does that make him racist towards, like, the movie?
No.
Was it what was it when Brandon first commented on the previous shit posting? Transphobia! Oy vey.
Yeah, that was funny.
It must be. It must be.
Oy vey.
The word phobia must be some sort of throwback to like Freudian psychoanalysis, because they must think that because you dislike or because you disagree with gay people or Muslims or trans people, then somehow like it reflects your subconscious fear of them. You know?
I'm not scared of him at all. I'm just like,
Whoa, Ethan left. God damn it.
I don't know.
There
Maybe
must be something wrong with this internet.
Like, I don't fear Islam, but I don't want to have Germany be an Islamic country.
yeah, no.
How is that a phobia?
We've had Christian values. Get out of America.
It's just not the same as like not like
I mean,
spiders.
Alright.
Start over. You lied.
Let's keep going.
Better term might Muslims are free, and in fact, Muslims prejudice against Muslims and their religion, harmful and very, very real. And that last point people of when discussing Islamophobia, because its existence frequently denied. Islamophobia is easy to see and unfortunately quite commonplace in our culture. It exists across a wide spectrum of violent hate crime.
Okay, go.
Okay. God, I've been accused of freaking Islamophobia so many times. Did anyone see Mason's old responses to me? Like way back then? Like a year ago or so?
No.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we've called him out for his Islamophobia. Am I even scared of Islam, you dumb bag?
And I mean,
No?
to say that Islamophobia is quite common in Western society is just wrong. I mean, the government and the media is promoting, the happy, fine, PC culture, and all people are equal, and you shouldn't criticize minorities. So how is
racism?
Most people, at least in the U.S. and Europe, are still like mostly liberal when it comes to these issues. So how is Islamophobia common, or quote unquote Islamophobia?
Oh, he cites hate crimes as proof.
Yeah, we're just gonna ignore the honor killings on the part of the Muslims.
Because Islam's religion of peace, T. Alex.
Yeah, well, if these SJWs and feminists and all these other people were intellectually honest with themselves, they would all be anti-Islam as well. Because Islam is against homosexuality, Islam is against Judaism, Islam is against pretty much everything that these people believe in. So if these people were actually adhered to the values that they espouse, then they would be the most anti-Islamic people of all. But they're not, which goes to show that they're not.
Feminists are the most.
They don't advocate for tolerance. They advocate for white genocide. Is what they advocate.
I mean, here's the thing.
Alt-right, false argument.
Here's the thing about that, guys. Here's the thing about that. I never understood that. Like, even when I was extremely, ultra far left, and I would defend Sharia law to a degree, I still realized that Islam is basically far right. It's like, I would even consider Islamism to be more far right than fascism, in all honesty. I would say it's worse than fascism.
I don't see how fascism is far right. We need to reform.
It's
Radical
radical center.
We need to reform the political spectrum.
I mean, I'm talking in terms of U.S. politics.
Yeah, no, but
Okay,
We should abolish the
one
political
sec, one sec, guys. Ethan. Like, no more videos, okay? I've already seen this.
Everybody.
Let's
Just
cover
send
his
us the
point. So
link.
let's cover his
put
whole
the link
points on
to the
Islamophobia. We gotta figure out what was his first point. How it doesn't. Oh, we just deny it. God, you're an idiot. No one denies it, dude. You're the only one who's trying to say evil whitey nigga shit.
Fear if they're actually trying to kill you. I mean, if you read Islamic dogma, you'll find that there's a lot of things that makes it very easy for people to mistrust Muslims because, for example, are any of you familiar with taqiyya?
Oh yeah, you told me about that.
Yeah, taqiyya is where Muslims are allowed to lie and hide their faith in order to gain acceptance in society.
And then backstab them.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I've heard about that.
Make friends with them, then kill them, pretty much.
Just look. One sec. Just look at the San Bernardino shooters. These people were friendly with most of the people that they killed prior to the shooting, but they harbored very anti-Western ideals, and they didn't tell anybody about it. So that's just taqiyya in action.
I mean, perhaps the politest, most extremely liberal Muslim that you could ever know on this planet could in fact be performing taqiyya to make people think that she's a social justice warrior piece of shit when in reality she just wants to establish Sharia law.
I don't know if you guys heard about this, but about in Columbus, Ohio, which is about like an hour and 45 minutes where I live from here, a Somali Muslim went into a store that was run by not only a Christian, but he was an immigrant from Israel. He went up in there with a machete and started slashing people.
Well, that sort of thing has happened in Britain too. Did you hear about that one Somali immigrant who decapitated a cop on the street?
Yeah, and here in Ohio, we have a huge load of Somali immigrants.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you should be tolerating Goy.
I understand that that's the case throughout much of the Midwest. They import many Somalians, like especially in Minnesota and Illinois and
Minnesota's mainly full of Norwegians.
Ohio, I think Ohio is like the biggest population of Somalis. I could be wrong. Granted, I've met some. I got nothing against them. Some of them seem like nice people, but damn, like, do we have to like just flood them in here?
Yeah. And again, we have no way of differentiating between who's a good Muslim and who's a bad Muslim, because in the end, a lot of these so-called good Muslims are really just either terrorist sympathizers, terrorists themselves in disguise,
or they're too scared.
Have secret plots behind their backs.
Okay, that's one of the funny things though is that like most of the I'm sure that there are many like Somalians and Muslims who are very kind people, but most of the people who are successful, who have education, who have something to lose, they stay in their countries of origin because they have connections there. But most of the people who are thugs and scum and who are degenerates, they all want to come to the U.S. because it will raise their standard of living. So most of the migrants who come into the U.S. are, the degenerates, not the educated, kind Muslims, but like the insane ones.
We went to the same.
I made a video about this recently, trading security for vibrancy, where I talked about this. Canada's trying to import 25,000 Muslims, but most of the Muslims that they want, like stable families who have education, who will who have economic value, they don't even want to come to Canada because they understand that Canadian values are different than values of Syria. So they want to stay in Syria, but most of the people who want to come to Canada are the degenerates who want to shout Aloha snack bar and blow themselves up.
Yeah, it's kind of like after the Industrial Revolution and the poverty that ensued in Europe. The intellectual and economic elites didn't go, just the Irish and a lot of Jews, so you got the thugs of Europe.
We went to a similar thing back in the early 20th century. The Sicilians.
I just want to say something to piss a lot of people off, and here it goes. Have you noticed that Mecca, that big place that Muslims like to go to worship Allah?
That's their big holy place.
Yeah, well, that holy place, have you noticed that with just a few additions here and there, that place can easily be reformed into a football stadium?
You mean like Mecca in Medina?
Yeah, Mecca. Have you noticed that Mecca could easily be reformed into a football stadium?
Yeah,
That's in Saudi Arabia, right?
we could turn that Kaaba, like that box that everybody circles around, we could turn that into a sky dome. It would be great.
Yeah.
But no, I saw a poem ball about that where it's like Iran, Lebanon, and Syria, and everyone's like black box good, white box bad. White box
There's
bad.
already just like on this video. We already know who did it.
Communist or some Islamist or banner the people. You Islamophobic bastards. Allah Akbar. Get out of here. Terrorist.
All right.
I don't get commies, man. They'll say we're terrorists, yet they literally cuck for actual
Oh
terrorists.
my god, like the
Yeah.
Finnish most of it. Like,
Ever heard of the Viet Cong?
They'll cuck for like Islamists, even though they're opposites.
I don't know.
It's scary. I'm like, you people are weird. Oh, because U.S. imperialism.
Well, let me ask you guys a question. Do Black lives matter, or do all lives matter?
All lives matter.
I got a good joke to piss off all those morons.
Yeah, shoot. Delta, go.
Yeah, you know I was gonna. Brandon. Shh. I was gonna say because there's a thing going around I saw on some pages. It was like Israeli lives matter because all of them like hate Israel and all that.
Yeah, that was actually started by Paul.
Because all the stat, because all the
I was
attacks.
there on the day
why
that
don't
started.
all
They
lives
wanted
matter?
to get the African nationalists and the Jews to fight each other on Twitter.
You want why I think all lives don't matter? Because if you're a child molester and you were killed, your life doesn't matter to me.
Point taken.
In all
Point,
honesty,
yeah.
the value of human life is utterly subjective. Like, I consider a lot of communists to be unworthy of freedom. They should be sent to work camps, in all honesty.
They'll say I should be shot because I don't agree with Marxism or
I
something
mean,
like that.
the value of human life is entirely subjective. I mean, let's just be honest here. In terms of the economy, for example, like, remember when I said, when I was a far leftist, Ethan, that free markets have killed people, and you said, well, how can free markets kill someone, you idiot? And then Social Democrat responded by showing a clip of Herbert Spencer using free market, saying that you should use the free market to starve the Native Americans out. The thing is, regardless of your economic views, even when the state owns literally every facet of the economy, the fact of the matter is that if most people hate a particular group of people, then that particular group of people will suffer economic depravity, even state enforced or privately enforced. So, the value of human life is subjective. It usually depends on the society you live in. Like, 100 years ago, a lot of black people were considered unworthy of freedom, but no longer is that the case.
Okay, but like
Food and fucking.
The value of a group is not just contingent upon how other groups treat them. It's how that group conducts themselves in society. I mean, in the United States, for example, blacks commit much more crime compared to whites and other groups like Asians. So it only makes sense that, you know, they get treated by the police in a much more aggressive, much more hostile manner.
Shit, nigga, you fucking racist, man. Fucking evil whitey.
I mean, it's so awful.
He was a
so
good
awful
boy.
how
He
the,
didn't do
I
nothing.
mean, isn't it awful? Isn't it awful how these cops are cutting down these child prodigies?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure like Freddie Gray would have become the next Beethoven. He would have found the cure for cancer. It's
Shit,
such
man,
a
you were
shame.
just trying to get money from them programs, man.
Trying to get more money for them programs. Shit, nigga.
He was a good boy. He was going to church. He was getting his life turned around.
Yeah.
Them evil cops just shot him, man. Just because he was black.
Cops, nigga.
Hey Tom.
Yeah.
I was reading about this a few years ago. I'm not sure if it's true or not, so I want to verify it with you. But is it true that in Canada, like most violent crimes are committed by like Orientals or Asian gangs or something?
Actually, it differs depending on what province you go to, but many of the crimes that are committed here in Canada are committed by drunk native people.
Oh, okay.
Hey, guys, look at this.
Okay, yeah, there's been a huge like movement in Canada in recent years to like look into the deaths of like native women, and because there's a huge problem here with like Native women going missing on reserves and being turned up dead and stuff. And admittedly,
Well, look at Delta.
yeah, I've seen that before. It's the Ben Garrison picture.
Because a friend of mine from Vancouver like showed me this article where like all these Chinese gangs are starting up violence and stuff.
Well, I mean,
don't talk about that. Racist.
In Vancouver, though, like there's a huge like Chinese and Japanese population, but in most of Canada, I would say that the crimes are disproportionately committed by First Nations people, because like especially in like Ontario and Manitoba, you have like these Native communities who are essentially like the black communities in the United States. Like they sort of like keep themselves in segregated, insulated groups. They consume most of the drugs and alcohol, and they're just very violent to people. They're essentially like the black communities in the United States. So I hear myself echoing. Is somebody? Does somebody have the stream on?
Oy vey, you racist bastard.
Yeah. But,
Okay, let's continue the video, guys. We've been like going on a 20-minute rampage, and not addressing the video.
No. We're not gonna watch any more videos. All right.
No, we're gonna finish watching the Steve Chavez video.
Just put the link in the group chat and I'll watch it later.
Yeah, we can watch it later.
Hey, Tom, like, would you be willing to debate Tommy McCann and his boyfriend Zach on my channel?
Maybe. You'll have to give me like a time and place. And
All right.
are you in contact with them right now?
No.
Oh, they probably won't.
Just saying in the future, because he made in the video response he made to me on Robert Mugabe, he says maybe because that is a 8-hour difference.
Okay, but the thing you have to understand though is that these people are not intellectually on it. Their positions are purely ideological. Because like as I said before, they do not apply the same standards to themselves that they apply to other people. They believe, like I said, they believe in self-determination for like black Africans, but they will disparage the same ethnic self-determination for Europeans.
Or Jews.
Yeah, or Jews or any other group.
Especially Israelis.
Yeah, they're just dishonest. Their whole channel is just to advance Marxist agenda. And Luis, you have to understand that by giving these people publicity and by responding to them so much, then you're just giving them what they want.
Yeah.
You're just reaffirming their own biases. You should just ignore them, or if you must engage with them, Luis, just troll them. Just say like, you deserve a helicopter ride. Just put that in their comments.
Oh, I saw that.
Just do what you do with the free flow.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up, Luis. Shut the fuck up, Luis. Shut the fuck up, Luis. You just after me again.
I love it. I love it again. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up.
Make a cartoon about them or something.
Yeah.
I just Photoshop Tommy McCann's face a bit.
No.
Yeah.
Oh,
all these people like Finnish Bolshevik and Social Democrat and the Free Flow, they just need to be taken up in a helicopter, taken over like the Marianas Trench, put lead weights in their feet, and just drop them over the edge. Like
troll them in any way possible, but just don't create fake accounts.
You know we're still live, right? So they're probably gonna be hearing this.
It was the
What are they gonna do? Call the SPLC? Call the ADL? I'm so
I know, but
scared.
they're probably gonna prepare themselves for it, though.
Whatever.
No, here's what they're gonna do.
Hey, Tom.
They're gonna repost the stream on Tumblr, so Tumblr facts can attack this stream.
Hey,
Ethan.
Yeah?
Did you by any chance see that video I recently showed you where that guy deleted 2 of my comments?
I didn't get to see it, but I heard about how he deleted your comments. What a fucking coward.
Yeah, dude, like, he's an Australian who lives in Japan, and he was talking about, like, how Japan doesn't have a lot of guns, it's not in their culture, so they don't have a lot of shootings like the U.S., and I was trying to tell him, like, places like, in America, places like Chicago and Detroit, where they have strict gun laws, they have the same gun laws as Japan, and yet they have high crimes, and he was saying, like, well, studies this, statistics that, and I was like, yes, but from experience, I've been to places where they have strict gun laws, and those were dangerous places places I didn't feel safe in, but the places that didn't have strict gun laws, I felt more safe in. And he just started trash talking me and deleting my comments.
If you look at many of the countries like the UK and Australia that have recently instituted very strict gun laws, what you see is that you see a decrease in gun crime, but you see an increase in like knife crime. You see an increase in stabbings and physical beatings. Like, I mean, to be like, yeah, you don't see a decrease in violence overall. You just see criminals resorting to other methods of killing people. And to be fair, I would much rather be burned. I would much rather be shot than be burned to death or stabbed if I was given the option.
Hey, Alfred, we need to give you guys guns over there in Germany so you guys could defend yourself by from these migrants.
I'm gonna make a thumbnail for your video, Ethan, for the video on the debunking him on his stupid
you mean debunking the white guilt riddled faggot?
Yeah.
He's just a Scandinavian inbred. Like you could tell by his freaking voice.
Oh God, you're so gonna put Luis. Luis. To be honest, dude, you need to stop seeking drama. It's just for people. There's people saying like, oh, because you're in this group, you make everyone look bad, or it's like.
Delta, I disagree with you. I think causing drama spreads a message, and I think causing drama is actually kind of fun. So I recommend doing it. Keep doing it.
It depends how you do it, though.
Yeah. I'm not the kind of guy.
Annoying. I don't hear about it. I'm like, I don't want to hear it, dude. Stop.
Usually people don't start drama with me because in the end they're the ones that get bit in the ass.
Yeah.
Oh, have you heard of that? It's just random. What's your thoughts on that YouTuber who makes educational videos? Like he's from Canada, right? Like he makes top 50 interesting facts about amazing interesting facts. I think.
What's his name?
His YouTube page. Wait, I know.
Shut the fuck up, Luis. You interrupted me again.
Hey guys, jet fuel can't melt steel beams.
Oh, Matthew Santorio. Matthew Santorio.
Oh, yeah.
Matt,
what's your thoughts on the incident where he made a video on his blog about him being abused?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. I heard about that.
Yeah, there was a bit of an incident where he like made a blog where he was crying and saying that like a girl punched him in the face, and then I think like a bunch of people were making fun of him, so he took the video down. But a bunch of people reposted it on other channels, and I found one of the videos, and I was like, what a cuck. in the comment section, and a bunch of people like started attacking me for it.
Oh God, what? You did something wrong, Oide? How dare you challenge that?
Wait, you called him a cuck?
Yeah, I called him a cuck, and then like a lot of people started attacking me. But if you post a video of you crying on camera and then like you saying that a girl punched you in the face, like you are a cuck. I'm sorry, there's no two ways about it.
Yeah, exactly. You are a fucking cuck.
That kind of sucks in this society. A girl can hit you. You can't do nothing about it. Otherwise, you're an evil man. Kill all men.
Well, you cannot make a video on YouTube about you crying about it. Is what you can do. Like that guy's just pathetic. And
you can't even defend yourself against something like that. Otherwise, you're a misogynist.
Okay, but you can walk away.
Like, what if it was like a Ronda Rousey type girl and she just attacking you?
I don't think about that. She later called him and said that she was about to commit suicide, and she's gonna blame it on him. So that I wouldn't say that.
Then she's a bitch.
Yeah, man. Canadians, man.
Yeah, she was the same YouTuber who made that one video about fat shaming that a lot of people.
Oh, what, Nicole Auber or some shit?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh God, she's top cringe.
Deported to Greenland.
Hey guys, have you noticed like how are transgenders and feminists being like? I know there's like a lot of radical feminists who hate transgender people, but how is transgenderism and feminism consistent? Because feminists say that gender doesn't exist, or it's like they say that gender is a social construct or doesn't exist. But yet transgender people Like, transgenderism basically states that people can be born with a brain that does not match the sex assigned to them at birth. Does anyone not see the contradiction here?
I don't get that.
Who the fuck wants to live like that? Like, what am I?
Brandon,
Wait, whoa, let it Gus to speak.
Brandon, are you familiar with the YouTuber Common Phil?
No.
He made a really good video about this called Nihilism for Girls, and he basically argues that the feminist support for transgenderism is because feminists want to see themselves as beautiful, but they're embracing like non-feminine individuals like Bruce Jenner and like all these other degenerates as women. Yeah. It basically lowers the standard for what like a beautiful woman is. So like if you're a mildly attractive woman and you embrace like some 50-year-old guy with a penis as a woman, then it essentially makes.
He's older than that, dude.
Yeah, it essentially makes
don't get me wrong,
the average
I kind of
woman
find it hot,
that much more beautiful. So
you faggot.
Yeah, it basically
like the woman figure. Faggot.
Yeah, like the embrace of transgenderism lowers the standard of beauty. That's why most feminists embrace it. It's an entirely self-serving ideology.
Oh, they're using trans people then for their own benefit. That's kind of screwed up.
Who said that gender doesn't exist?
Feminists. They're retarded though.
What the fuck?
Then race doesn't exist either. I'm like,
okay, so
cocks, I swear.
Okay, so I look down there and I see a wiener and 2 balls. Yeah, I think that means I'm a male.
Yeah.
I don't get the logic with them.
These cultural Marxists will just say like whatever you identify as, you are. If you identify as
dude. I will go now.
If you identify as like an anthropomorphized dragon or an anthropomorphized eagle, then that's what you are.
Cock means male, vagina means female.
Science settles it.
Holy shit. Okay.
Yeah, Brendan, what are you going to say?
Women get pregnant, men do not.
I have a friend. He's a huge radical leftist, and here's what he said. He said, like, I brought up how, like, I was radical left at the time too. Like, this was during the time where me and Social Democrat were arguing with Ethan whether or not Adolf Hitler was a socialist, and I basically brought up this point. Nice job, Ethan. But I brought up this point that what's it called?
Okay, real quickly, can I just dispel this myth that Adolf Hitler was a socialist?
He was!
Okay, he wasn't a socialist, but he wasn't a communist either. Nazi Germany was a mixed economy. It combined elements of socialism and capitalism.
Hold up, Tom.
In the West.
Now, I wanted to say something. Let me finish.
What? All right. Soldier, if you can speak after, I want to hear what Brandon has to say.
All right.
Now, here's what I said. I said that I gave reasons why Adolf Hitler was not a socialist, and one being was that even though he identified as a National Socialist, that does not mean anything because I can identify as a unicorn who was sent from the Draconian constellation to rule over the planet Earth. That doesn't make it true. And he said, well, as if you truly believe that you are from the Draconian galaxy and that you are a unicorn who's set to rule over mankind, then that's what you are because you identify as such. And same with politics, gender, and whatnot. You identify as whatever you wish.
Okay, Soldier, what do you have to say?
I was going to say he was.
Why was Adolf Hitler a socialist?
Okay, enough of this argument.
Well, because here's the thing. He felt like that the modern-day socialists during his time were communists. He felt like they were communist sympathizers. His form of socialism was old-school socialism, because when most people nowadays, when they think socialism, they think Karl Marx. No. He wants to go back to the socialism that came before Karl Marx, which didn't necessarily mean equality where where we had to get rid of the classes.
I mean, socialism can be social Darwinian. I'll be fair. That's fair to say. I mean, a socialist economy can in fact be social Darwinistic. As a matter of fact,
He even said he was a socialist, but a different kind of socialist.
Have any of you read Plato's Utopia?
Yeah, I've read some of it.
Like, Plato's
you mean it is
Utopia
Republic?
involved where, like, everyone works for the... I think Karl Marx based his philosophy loosely on Plato's political philosophy, and I say this because, like, in what Plato considered a utopia, everyone's employed by the government. The government determines what tasks you do based on the skills you have. They employ you. They tell you what job you have and what not to do and how to do it, etc.
Yeah, actually, the Open Society and Its Enemies, which is a book I mentioned earlier in the stream. Karl Popper actually opens the book talking about Plato and why he talks about how Plato's Republic was actually a major influence for many of the authoritarian ideologies that came about in the 20th century, like Nazism and communism and Marxism. And he talks about how he talks about how like this like utopian ideology of creating like a society where everybody follows the same rules, everybody believes in the same thing. That's really the blueprint that Plato created, that many of these dictators like Stalin, Lenin, Hitler, many of these other people, they planned out in the 20th century, and that he's against.
I mean, Plato...
and again, to respond to Soldiff's point about Hitler being socialist, I mean, Hitler was opposed to Marxism, though.
Yeah, but that still, socialism existed even before Marxism.
Yeah, and the thing is, Tom, all socialists have all been against each other throughout history.
Well, socialism is not just... Well, socialism is a very loose term, though, Tom. That's what you have to understand.
I've
met Marxists, National Socialists, Baathists. They all say they're socialists.
Okay, but if you define socialism as the collective ownership of the means of production, I mean, that's gone back since ancient times. I mean, there were ancient tribes that like, collectively owned the means of production. Would you describe those as socialist?
Well, probably not at the time, but you could argue that they have more in common with socialism.
Well,
that's another thing I was going to say. Even if, let's say, we're right, Hitler wasn't a socialist, his ideology still had more in common with socialism than it did with, like, capitalism or conservatism.
Well, that's what protectionism is.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I mean, Hitler was ideologically opposed to capitalism as well. But I wouldn't say that Nazism was either socialist or communist. Sorry, socialist or capitalist. It was a mixed economy between the two.
Third position.
But Hitler once said one time, socialism. What social? Hold on, I'm trying to remember the quote. Just give me a second. Okay.
Are you talking about like I am a socialist, but I'm a much different socialist?
No. He also said another word. It's to describe, because like Delta was saying, like everybody, there's these people who call themselves socialists, there's these people who call themselves socialists. I think he once said, hold on, I'm trying to remember. Just give me a minute. Okay. Social. Okay, hold on. Okay, this is the word. Okay, I remember. I got it right here. It says socialism. That is an unfortunate word altogether. What does socialism really mean? If people have something to eat and their pleasures, then they have their socialism.
Okay, but that doesn't mean that Hitler's Germany was socialist.
I mean, here's the problem with these labels. Like, socialism and not capitalism, but socialism is, like, extremely vague in terms of definition because, like, you have Bernie Sanders who favors private property to a certain degree, and he calls himself a democratic socialist, but then you have these communists who say, but you're not a true socialist. True socialists favor complete state ownership and not just mere regulation. It's vague because you have many countries that called itself socialist, but they either brought back private property, had some form of private property, or when they banned private property, they failed. So in the long run, the definition of socialism is vague because even a non-status regulated economy where community councils, so to speak, where citizens gather together and vote on economic policy, like many ANCOMs want, that would be socialist in an aspect. But if there's still private property and the community just regulates private property, that could be arguably a socialistic economy. It's just very vague.
Yeah, well, I mean, like in today's context, I think that socialism really refers to the legacy left by Engels and Marx and Lenin to some extent. I think that saying that you're a socialist in today's day and age means that you ascribe to some extent to like the writings of Marx and Engels.
Well, yeah, for the most part, I would say at least 80% of the time, yeah.
Yeah, but Hitler was not a part of that legacy at all. He was
No.
ideologically opposed to Marx and Engels.
Yeah, but the socialism, I keep seeing the socialism he was advocating for was the one that came before Marxism, like the 1800s and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like, I wouldn't say that that's socialism, though. I mean, like, collectivism, maybe, but not socialism.
And besides, Oswald Spengler even said it himself, who a lot of Nazis were influenced by Oswald Spengler. He said socialism is going to come through a corporatist and nationalist movement, which was kind of what Nazi Germany was, because he believed that, you know, that was the German way of socialism. He viewed, Oswald Spengler said that, because Oswald Spengler, he tried to say that Marxism was like the English version of socialism, because by then Marx moved to England.
Yeah, but also Oswald Spengler, he was very doubtful that Nazi Germany would last very long. And in fact, if I recall correctly, Oswald Spengler correctly predicted that Nazi Germany would not last longer than 12 years.
Yeah, he did.
Exactly how long that Nazi Germany lasted for.
He did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
one more point is that, to be fair, Soviet Union, especially during World War II, had many nationalist elements to it. I mean, during the Great Patriotic War, the propaganda at the time drew heavily on Russian heritage, like, for instance, Alexander Nevsky, Alexander Suvorov, and many other of the czars, in order to evoke a Russian patriotism in order to crush Nazi Germany. So it would be incorrect to say that Soviet Union during the 1940s was not patriotic and not nationalist.
Okay. But another thing Spengler also said was that it also needed to be a monarchy, which it wasn't.
Well, neither was Nazi Germany.
Because Hitler, no, that's what I was trying to say. That was another. I think that's like you said. Oswald predicted what would happen in Nazi Germany, because he also complained, because he was also critical of it, and he said that because he also said, like, it also needs to come through a monarchy as well, like a social nationalistic monarchy. And he said that was the problem. Hitler didn't keep the monarchy.
Yeah.
So do you remember how most leftists, like, especially when they were replying to Soldier 7, remember how they said that the reason why the German conservatives who were behind the July 20th plot were against Hitler just because they were afraid that they were going to lose the war? That's a flat-out lie, because most of the German conservatives who were behind the July 20th plot all went against Hitler way before they started losing the war, way before the war even started. It was like around 1935.
Yeah, when did the Nazis, the Nazis didn't start losing the war till, like, what, 1943?
Yeah, Stalingrad.
After Stalingrad, yeah.
No, that was, North Africa. That's when they started losing.
Stalingrad turned the tide, because the USSR crushed them.
Yeah, but the Germans could have still made a comeback in the spring during the Eastern Front, because, like, they were highly successful on the Eastern Front until the winter came. They could have just waited.
But I think that by the time the Germans were defeated at Stalingrad, the writing was on the wall. Because one of the primary reasons that the Germans lost at Stalingrad was because Hitler was overriding the judgment of his generals. And I think that a lot of his generals, especially Rommel, thought that Hitler was not going to have a sudden change of heart after Stalingrad and suddenly start to defer judgment to his generals.
I thought Rommel was executed before Stalingrad. I thought
No. Rommel was executed after Stalingrad.
Yeah. But
But the thing is, even until 1943, the Germans still had a foothold in the USSR.
Oh yeah, yeah, but I think that like they all understood that Hitler was not going to change his ways after Stalingrad.
Yeah.
Like, even during the Battle of Kursk, I think that the Germans
that was-
had a chance to win, but Hitler just wouldn't let them because he wouldn't defer judgment to his generals. He said yeah, he was like no step back, no retreat, and then his generals were like, that's insane. Like, you don't know what you're talking about.
No,
Like,
Alfred's
do you
gonna
mean-
get mad. Alfred will be butthurt.
Do you mean the fourth Battle of Kursk? Because you know there were 4 battles that took place in Kursk.
Yeah, but I mean, like when we talk about the Battle of Kursk, we all mean like.
Well, I mean, like the Soviets won the last one, but like I think the first 3, I think the Soviets won the second one, but then the third one the Germans retook it, and
The Reich was pretty strong though, but just Hitler was just when it comes to military, Hitler was just he was an incompetent idiot. Like, I'm sorry, but
yeah, like remember you ever heard of the Sturmgewehr 44?
yeah, that was the first assault rifle to ever exist. That's the
Yeah,
first assault rifle.
back when it was first formed, he was like, we don't need this. We got good weapons enough. We don't need this. And it wasn't until like later on, like by the time they started losing, when he was kind of like, okay, you can use it now. But by then,
also with the Messerschmitt 262.
The jets,
it was the first jet-powered aircraft. Hitler delayed the development of it because he wanted it to be a light bomber role, which
Hey,
completely
Delta,
took it out of the
look
war.
in the chat.
Either a soldier, if you know what I couldn't stop laughing at?
What?
So do you remember when you said either you're just misinformed or you're just lying? From what I could tell,
he is. But the thing is he turns around and says, "No, I'm the one that's either misinformed or lying." No, I'm not.
No.
I made my points. I told them I made them very accurate. But yeah, he tried to change it and say
Brandon, I
no.
could
That's
do better than that. I could do way better than that.
Yeah. So Social Democrat 01 has no idea what he's talking about.
That guy, I got a challenge not to bring him up, but I guess that went down the drain.
Probably flagging the video for transphobia, Islamophobia, and pedophile phobia.
Hey, Brandon, has Social Democrat 01 confronted you about changing your ideological position?
He was he was investigating me about me joining this chat. He was like saying, why would you join them?
Evil right-wingers. Evil right-wingers.
I couldn't stop laughing when Manuel Delta said that guy is so arrogant that he's not gonna sleep at night until he feels as though he is right.
Okay, guys, remember I said that I'm bisexual earlier?
Yeah.
Here's the thing about that. Well, here's the thing. You know how I said earlier that social justice warriors and radical leftists like to use people as their pawns, like minorities as their pawns. And here's what I'm going to say. For example, my boyfriend is center-right in essence, and he wants to join the military one day. And
does he watch my videos?
No. He doesn't have a YouTube as far as I know, but the fact of the matter is, because he wants to join the military, a whole bunch of social justice warriors said that he should die, and he's not a true gay person because he wants to fight for imperialism.
Yeah, that's what they told me, because I used to want to join the military when I was young, but I can't now for medical reasons. But that's what they always used to say. Like
I got told that shit too by some freaking Norwegian guy called me. He said I'm scum because I want to serve the evil West or evil Western imperialists.
Like that's not only anti-American, but that's also anti-gay, because you're basically saying that gay people should not fight for their country, even if they're patriotic, because my boyfriend's insanely patriotic. Like, not blindly, but he's still patriotic.
Well, I mean, there's a lot gay people can be great for in the United States, because it's not like Iran where they get hanged by cranes.
Yeah,
or they get killed in Saudi Arabia.
I understand why there's a lot of social justice warrior members of the LGBT who defend Islam. Like, dude, most Islamists want to see you dead, you idiots.
Yeah.
The United States and Canada are some of the best places to live if you're a homosexual.
Or Israel too.
Seattle especially. In Seattle, you can cross-dress in public.
Like, it doesn't make any sense why you would disparage other homosexuals for joining the military, for defending your freedom to like have gay marriage and stuff.
And also
imperialism. It doesn't make any sense.
Back on the pawn issue, like they would as soon as a gay person disagrees with them, they realize that they can't use that person as a political ploy anymore. So, being the cult that they are, like, you ever heard of Kyle Kittleson, that gay guy who supports Donald Trump?
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard of him. What about him?
If you look up the comment section of his video, you see radical lefties and Bernie Sanders supporters saying that he's a worthless, traitorous faggot.
He's a sellout. He's not like how they call black people Uncle Tom.
So, like,
yeah,
they don't
I get called that a lot.
Gay people. Like, as soon as they find that there's a gay person who's not in line with their ideologies, they're like, "Oh no, you're a traitor. You're not a true LGBT rights supporter. Join our group and vote Bernie, or else you're just a faggot."
Yeah,
like,
it's a no true Scotsman fallacy. It
is really.
If you don't subscribe to my ideology 100%, then you do not belong to my camp. It's ridiculous.
It's also like when leftists call black people Uncle Toms.
Yeah.
But here's like.
Wait, 1 sec, Brendan. Have you guys ever heard of?
There's this one document. Hold on.
Sorry, Brendan. Let me just make one point. Have you guys ever heard of the YouTuber Tommy Sotomayor?
No.
He's a black guy who talks about black issues, but he's not
Tyrone.
Yeah, he talks about how the black man needs to pull up his bootstraps, stop acting like such a degenerate, start having a stable family and not commit crimes and stuff. Yet,
are you talking about David Carroll?
No. Well, no, I'm talking about Tommy Sotomayor.
Oh, I never heard of him.
But that guy gets so much harassment, it's insane. Everybody who harasses him are other black people, other people in the black community.
I got harassed by Shango for being a house Negro because I'm not freaking revolutionary.
Yeah. If you're black and you speak out against this cultural Marxist degeneracy and this victim mentality, then the black community just incinerates you. It's insane.
You're a you're no back on the topic. Yeah, it's a no true Scotsman fallacy. I mean, for example, there's this one documentary I've seen. I forgot what it was called, but did you know that there are gay people who are on the far right?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, fascists have known some fascists are bi or something like that.
Yeah,
Joseph McCarthy.
Wasn't Ernest Rome gay?
Wait, McCarthy?
Yeah, Ernest Rome was gay.
Wait. Did Brandon say? Wait, did Soldiers just said that McCarthy was gay?
No, but he had one of his appointees, people who attended his rallies, who was gay. He was one of his big time supporters was a gay guy.
Joseph McCarthy was right.
He was. I mean, yeah, some of the stuff he may have done in his political career.
Oh my God! Why do you say that, Ethan? Because in my opinion, Joseph McCarthy was just a crazy candidate. Makes an entire list saying, "Hey, I found there's a big, huge list of spies," and then he narrowed that, saying it was 200, and then people starts complaining about him, and then he says it, and then he doesn't talk about who are in the list, and then he narrowed it down to 9 people.
Okay, Luis, you have to understand that at that time there were a lot of communists, especially in Hollywood at the time.
Yeah,
in government.
Soviet influence.
Yeah,
but he also claims that Martin Luther King was a communist.
Well, he did align himself. Well, he did I think he had meetings with communists. Yeah, because communists were claiming to be for civil rights, which we know deep down they didn't.
The CPUSA was a big backer for the civil rights.
Yeah. Luis, have you ever seen the videos by Yuri Bezmenov on YouTube?
Although deep down they probably didn't.
But he was the guy who also sent Charlie Chaplin to he deported him.
Well, Yuri Bezmenov, he was a former KGB agent, and he gave a lot of lectures in the United States about how espionage in modern times had changed, and that it was not about blowing up bridges and assassinating people. It was about ideological subversion. It was about gaining a foothold. Yeah, it was about gaining a foothold in the nation's culture and subverting their values to reflect your own and to be more easily manipulatable for other nations to gain influence in their culture.
Yeah,
In
and
other words, cultural Marxism.
That's kind of what happened.
Yeah, that's exactly what was happening in the 50s. You had all these people with communist sympathies in the government, in Hollywood, in the media industry, who were all trying to subvert U.S. influence.
Have that.
What's your solution to this problem, though?
I think that we should have like a neo-McCarthyism, to be honest. I think we need to call it...
Yeah, but is it worth kicking out supposed communists? Because I don't think Charlie Chaplin was communist.
He
did have communist influence.
The point was not just communists in general, but the Soviet influences that were behind the closed doors was the problem. Because some of these people...
Wait, are you saying that Charlie Chaplin was a communist even though there was not any evidence?
I didn't say he was.
Guys.
Can I finish, please?
Can I say something real quickly?
Sure.
Okay. There's this neo-Nazi party in 1974 called the National Socialist League, and an interesting thing about this neo-Nazi party was they hated Jews, they wanted to deport all black people, but there's this one interesting thing about this. The only people who could become members of the party, like one of the prerequisites, was being gay. You had to be gay to join the party.
Okay.
They're far right. They hate all races except white people. They're white supremacist pieces of shit.
Right.
But you know what? For you to join them, you have to be gay. So there you go. You have far right gay people right there.
Well, I was going to say, back to what Luis is saying, it's not communists in general, it's the Soviet influence. Because some of these people on the list, not every single one of them, but some of them, and it's well factored that some of them had connections to the KGB.
And not all of them were pro-KGB. Mainly Trotskyists were very anti-USSR.
Yeah, but I don't...
And let's not forget, Bill Ayers, Cuban agents, like, literally, who defected, literally came out and said they talked to people like Bill Ayers.
Yeah, there were many people in the U.S. government at that time who were sympathetic to Soviet Union and to communist ideology. You can't deny that.
Yeah, McCarthyism. Does anyone offer solutions to this degeneracy at all?
I won't consider Martin Luther King or Charlie Chaplin. He would false label people.
Well, no.
And McCarthy was a huge racist and a homophobe.
Well, actually...
No, he wasn't.
Most people were back then, though.
Black people who supported him, too.
Luis, I'm like a huge Charlie Chaplin fan. I like his movies. I like his work a lot. But you have to admit that he had very anti-American sentiments at the time. He spoke out against America. He supported the Soviet Union. He was just very anti-American, and I wouldn't doubt that he was influenced by communist and Soviet subversion.
Wait, he talked against America? I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's why America kicked him out of the country. They wouldn't have done that for nothing.
Charlie Chaplin?
Yeah.
Yeah, the former.
Oh yeah, dude, that guy was an anarcho-communist. In fact, that famous speech that's very popular, that was inspired by the Communist Manifesto to some degree.
Yeah.
Wow. He was an ANCOM. He self-identified as an anarcho-communist.
Wait, was he American or he was from Britain or something like that?
He was British.
He was born in Switzerland.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, no, that's where he died.
Yeah, he died in Switzerland.
Yeah.
So Vlad said you need neo-McCarthyism to deal with this degeneracy in the cultural Marxism.
Yeah, but it's interesting enough that Switzerland later become a free market.
It's interesting we brought up Switzerland.
I was saying the same.
Because Switzerland, just give me a minute, Delta. I'll just give it a minute. You know, like how the communists are always saying how capitalism's evil and all that stuff. If you look at the fact, like even former communists back in the day and communists today, like some of the people in North Korea, they all get their education. Sometimes some of them are sent to school in Switzerland, which is considered a capitalist country.
Yeah, I've seen that.
The fucking hypocrisy.
Fucking hypocrisy from super fucking.
I was gonna say.
Typical.
But that's the capitalism. I'm gonna go to school in Switzerland.
Ethan, Do you have an answer to like all this? You could say cultural Marxism. Like answers to it.
Protect our culture.
Protect the culture.
I think we just need like a Pinochet moment. We need to gather up all the subversion.
So
agents.
I hope
We need to throw them all out of helicopters, basically.
So let's
No, just do a Franco, dude. Just completely mop the floor with him.
So we should just go Chiang Kai-shek.
No,
I think Franco did a better job of it though, because Pinochet got rid of communists. Like Franco got rid of like the feminists, the anarchists, the communists, just like all that trash to begin with.
That's because they were all fighting with they were all fighting alongside each other. So of course he's going to get rid of them.
Well, of course no, because feminism was an antithesis of the phalange. They wanted traditional values, but feminists wanted all this equality and shit. So he's like, you get out, you go back to the kitchen and shut up, kind of thing.
The greatest.
He took the boot.
I'm gonna quote Aristotle. The greatest of inequality is to make unequal things equal.
I'm gonna show you guys something funny.
Aristotle, or who was it who said that?
Aristotle. He's the one who said that. The greatest inequality is making unequal things equal. When things clearly aren't equal, but you try to make them equal anyway, you're defying nature, basically.
Hey, Vladislav, what's your thoughts on Friedrich Nietzsche? Because from Rockin' Mr. U say he's a fascist, man, but he was like major founder.
Fascism's so misunderstood.
It is.
He wasn't a fascist, but his book Beyond Good and Evil, he tried to dispel the notion that there was like a difference between good and evil, that it was just created by people to control the masses in order to prevent the average person from like fulfilling their individual goals, basically. But I think that Friedrich Nietzsche he got it wrong in many ways because he didn't take into account basic morality. He didn't. He basically he thought that the individual could just like do whatever they wanted without adhering to morality, and that it would be good in the end. Because Friedrich Nietzsche didn't believe that there was good and evil. But I mean, to be honest, the individual has to adhere to good and evil. The individual has to adhere to morality in order for society to remain intact. But
hold on.
I think that Friedrich Nietzsche he had a lot of good things to say about like religion and mass culture. If you read Thus Spoke Zarathustra, he talks a lot about that. He has a lot of insightful things to say, but some of his stuff I disagree with.
In essence, though, I will say this: he was kind of a technocrat because a lot of individualist anarchists. The individualist anarchist movement, they took his concept of a society where there's no need for a master-slave relationship to exist.
Is that the thumbnail?
Wait, no, not yet.
No, hold on, let me finish.
Yeah.
I forgot what it was.
Yeah, this is the thumbnail here, yeah.
Louis, stop!
What was the comment?
All right, guys, let me just interject for a second. At 11:30 Eastern time, I'm gonna cut this stream off, okay?
Okay.
Hey,
I was supposed to be saying though. Wasn't what was that concept called where there's no need for the master-slave relationship?
Hey, do you see the image here?
Oh yeah.
Lewis, we don't give a shit.
She.
I'm gonna show something funny though too. Oh, hold on a sec.
That'll be the thumbnail.
Ethan, look at this. I showed you this, right? It was like some anarchist thing, and like all these anarchists, they got ass hurt because I put that. They had Oriba España. They're like, what the fuck, man?
Who's John Hamm?
But Nietzsche basically thought that like religion and like societal norms were basically created to control people and to basically like shape the mass morality.
Wait, who joined? John Hill.
Hey, John.
Oh, hey. Well, I just saw this. Hi. I just saw this in a Finnish Bolshevik video, and I got curious.
What does it have to do with George fucking Bush?
So 1 sec, John, are you a fan of Finnish Bolshevik?
kind of neutral, really.
So did you just find this video on Twitter or something?
I don't know, like, I like some friends that are like, I don't know, like,
Or he might click on the link that Luis left in the comment section of the Finnish Bolsheviks video.
Yeah.
What the fuck does he have to do with George fucking Bush?
I know. What does he have to do with it?
No,
Nothing.
Brandon, what were you saying earlier about Nietzsche being a technocrat? Before you were into...
No, like there's this okay, you know how individualist anarchists like to Nietzsche had this idea of slave morality and master morality.
Yeah.
But Nietzsche thought of this utopian society where slave morality and master morality had no need. It did not exist, and individualist anarchists wanted to achieve this utopian goal. Hold on, let me just finish. To achieve this end goal, however, Nietzsche would disagree with them, and he even called them dogs, because Nietzsche believed that we should have a huge dictatorship to achieve this utopian society where there's no master-slave relationship.
No, Brandon. If you read Thus Spoke Zarathustra and Beyond Good and Evil, basically what Nietzsche was talking about... Sorry, who's playing that video? Can you please stop it?
John,
no. Please no.
I'm gonna mute you.
I just muted him.
Okay.
But I mean, they don't play.
Oh,
no, Soul Drift.
Oh, what?
Please
Oh, the
mute that.
guitar? Oh.
Yeah.
Turn it off.
All right. So basically, what Nietzsche said was that master and slave morality was necessary to control the masses. That's essentially what he thought religion and politics were. He thought that religion, people who ascribed to religion and politics were ascribing to slave morality, and that they ascribed to somebody else's morals in order to keep their base desires in check. But he saw that there was such a thing as the Overman, or what he called the Übermensch, which he thought could transcend slave morality and fulfill their own desires. But he thought that if everybody was like the Übermensch, then society would essentially crumble.
Oh, okay.
But he thought that you need slave morality in order to keep society in line.
but there was this concept though where such morality was non-existent, and that's what individualist anarchists wanted to achieve.
Well, yeah, but you can't achieve that on a collective scale, though. He thought that you could only achieve that on an individual scale. If you had like whole societies that just like didn't regard morality as important, then society would just crumble, and it would just be a disaster.
No, let's talk with John.
All right. So I'm only going to have this stream on for a couple more minutes. So, John, if you want to say anything.
Okay. I'm just like, I don't know. I'm just.
You're just spectating?
Some friends of mine, I guess, like, they've kind of interacted with you guys. I know they're kind of like. I've seen the interesting little things that like Lewis and Bolshevik are going at now. So I'm just intrigued. I'm kind of neutral on this, but
yeah, we talked about that earlier in the stream. When I post the stream, you can go back and watch all that.
Well, I was an hour late, so I didn't see it.
Yeah.
So hey, before I end
So
the
you
stream,
believe there's a white genocide in Africa?
All right, I'm sorry.
I'm not really sure about it.
Okay, we already talked about all this. So I'm going to give everybody a chance to say a last word before I end this, okay? So, Brandon,
Thanks for having me.
You can start.
Okay, thanks for having me. Even though I got interrupted a lot, but to be fair, I interrupted people as well.
Okay, but to be fair, Brandon, we had like 8 people on the stream, so...
Yeah, that's true. But it was fun. We should do this again next month. We're probably going to do this next month, right?
I'm just curious. Can I ask you guys a question?
Sure.
What happened to Manuel Ochoa?
He was on for like an hour.
He went to chat with a bunch of
no,
bullshit.
I knew him for like a while. Like I know he was like pretty left wing, but what happened to him?
I think he's a communist now.
Yeah, he went back, but he kind of had to purge some people kind of out because of some stuff.
All right, anyone else have last words?
All right,
Yes.
Delta, you can have a
Yes. One thing I'm going to say is that I will be back on here next month, and I'm going to really try to bring some other people on here, some other nationalists I know.
All right, for sure. I look forward to it.
Yeah.
All
All
right,
I'm gonna say is,
John, do you want to say anything?
we're all getting free helicopter rides in the next.
Oh yeah, that too.
All right. See you guys later.
All right, see ya. All right, John, do you want to say anything?
Say about what?
Just, do you want to have any last word?
Well, it was nice being here, you know, seeing everyone.
When did that happen?
Finally getting to see everyone here, you know. I've
All
just been like some casual person that's been watching both of your guys' videos and the sidelines, kind of deal on everything.
All right, well, yeah, you should come by the next Friday night shitposting.
Yeah, I think sometime in March.
Like,
We don't know when
like
it is.
debating Finnish Bolshevik or Red Scare TV or any of those guys.
Yeah, they're all welcome to come on if they want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have like 20 people in here. It'll be fun.
All right, Luis, say something real quick.
I hope the Finnish Bolshevik debate me live on my channel, and I hope like I can't wait for the next Friday night shit posting in March. This month is bad.
I can't wait either. It's gonna be great. All right, Soldier, you want to say anything?
Yeah, sure. Sorry I was late. I was gonna be on here when it started, but I wasn't feeling well earlier. But I hope next month I can be on here and be perfectly okay, and I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I hope you can be on too, man. It was a pleasure having you on.
It's always a pleasure, Tom.
All right,
Hope you enjoyed our 3-hour and 30-minute call. We'll see you guys later.
Yeah, all right. Ethan, you want to say
Amazing.
anything?
Oh, wait. What was this call? Just curious.
Ethan, you there?
Ethan, do you want to say anything? Okay, I guess he's not there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you very much for coming on to Friday Night Shitposting 3. Very much appreciated. I look forward to seeing you all again in about a month from now. So, yeah, take it easy, guys.
Adios.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Oh, okay. Bye.
Bye.
That's...
I know.